never thought of that. So now I'm going to be paying attention, Bart. Um,
Well, you got it. I can, I can
and
feel it over the internet.
you mentioned earlier about that as far as being a medium, and I think a lot of that too is part of my being a medium is that I clear negative energy and negative
Hmm.
entities and things like that. And there aren't a ton of people that do that. There are certainly people that do it. I know
Right,
you do it.
right.
But it's not a super common gift. And I
True.
think that brings with it a lot. There's a lot of power in that, of and responsibility. And I think that brings some of that heaviness to it, as you mentioned. But I think the same thing applies in working with horses because you are putting yourself in a situation that has the ability to change you if you're open to it. And it also has the ability to have such an incredible impact on these animals that are highly intuitive, highly sensitive, and that energy going both ways
Yeah.
is just profound. I mean, it is profound. I if I could live, if I could just live out there with my horses, I would. And because they bring me such joy, and it's so clearing. And I think we mentioned too about how it requires you to be present. If you're off doing something else, that horse knows it instantly. If I
Yes.
pick up my phone to record, do a video of them, they will change what they're doing like nobody's business, because they're like, she's not paying attention to me anymore. Like it is that quick. So
It,
that
it,
go ahead.
it
I apologize.
really is true. And it's such a unique thing that, I mean, every animal has their own particular relationship with humans. I
Yes.
have three cats that, have all of their special abilities and how to control me. Um, and
Yep.
enjoy it. However, horses, they're little. And so they do have to control me to get a response because I'm much bigger than them. But a horse is bigger than you.
And they will try to control me. Trust me. They try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And
really
it depends
do.
on what it is they're asking if I let them or not. I mean, they're still large animals. So, you have to kind of be aware of safety and what is it that they're, trying to do, and, what's going on with their behavior. You always have to be conscious of that.
You really do. And that's such a gift to be able to have that flow. And I would imagine if you're on a horse all the time, you're in that constant flow with the earth and your body with that. Maybe you're not so much in your head, but you're more in you're
Yeah, I
just in the
agree.
depth.
You have to kind of get out of your head and into your heart and be more connected. My connection with Mother Nature since having, I mean, I've always had a pretty strong connection, but my connection with nature since having horses has grown exponentially. Of being aware of what's going on around me and the trees. Like, I have a really, love affair really with trees, and that really has started since having horses.
Mm, part of the healing effect.
It is very much so.
Yeah. I'm sure they don't have a mission to help change these helpless humans, but it just kind of comes
You would be
naturally.
surprised. So you would be surprised. I have worked with kind of what I call the horse collective, which is, there's horses in the next dimension
Uh-huh.
that will come
Horses in the
through
next
and work.
dimension. Oh, do
Mhm.
tell. What's that about the horses in the next
Well,
dimension?
I've done various circles and full moon and different things, and though they will come down, and I'll know when they're there because my horses will respond. So I'll know when they're present as well. And it's kind of like the wisdom of many horses throughout humanity and throughout as long as horses have been in existence, and we're
Oh.
able to access that information, and if we're open to it.
Would that be something like an ancestry of horses?
It is.
almost like our own ancestors.
It
I mean,
is.
we have our own
Absolutely.
ancestors, and a lot of people have been tuning into, well, let's start asking our ancestors to help us with everyday life and heal different things, and they're part of our, you know, part of our beingness. So I want to ask
And
you,
I've done the exact same thing. I apologize, Bart. I didn't mean to talk over you.
do you bring in the
Uh,
ancestors of horses in your own life?
I do. I do bring in well, I bring I for me, I guess it's just sort of a natural thing, but with the horses, if I'm, like, needing my current horses to understand what I'm doing or that it's gonna be okay, then I will
Hmm.
call on those horse ancestors to give comfort to the horse that I'm working with.
Wow.
Mhm.
Any place that in the horse, when you start to do that, seems to light up or anything? Because I mean, I would imagine horses have chakras like
They
the rest
do.
of us.
They do have chakras. I'm trying to think if I've noticed that. I may not have noticed that because I really focus more on, you know, just wherever I'm feeling the energy. And
Uh-huh.
so that's going to be different with every horse.
Right, right. Well, that's certainly interesting.
Yeah,
Um, when I find the ancestry portal, I call it the interdimensional portal is in between the solar plexus and the heart, and it works with the solar plexus and heart as well. But it's like a portal of energy that kind of goes interdimensionally, and if we want to learn interdimensional consciousness, that's one of the places that we focus on.
I love that.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we just have all of these probably similar abilities
We do.
with horses. I mean, they have a super sophisticated nervous system.
They do. They do. And they can, do energy work on us as well. So it's
Mhm.
it's really fascinating. Um, and they teach us if people are open to it. They will teach us how to do
Mm.
energy work and all of those things.
Wow, that's wonderful. Do you think energetically that they're like, when I think of my energetic being, I know that it goes into the ground, uh, and and it's connected there, almost like neurologically, an astral neural sensory system, so to speak. You think the horses have something similar?
I don't know. I will have to check in with them on that. I've
Yeah,
never,
that'd be a fun
yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Any last words that you want to just share with horses? I know we haven't talked about your business, but you do intuitive
Well,
readings, you
I,
do horse trauma work, you do horse training.
I do. I do behavior consultations for horses. I do energy work on horses and people, clearing trauma, and all of those things. And I'd like to offer, if people are listening, just I'll give you a 15% discount for sharing that you saw me and Bart on this show. And just contact me at julie-bradshaw.com, or I'm on Facebook at Horse Magic, Julie Bradshaw, Horse Magic and Training. And I also make wonderful jewelry, both for people and horses with crystals. And I put energy in those as well. And that's in my Etsy shop at Jules, Juls, Jules, Main Beads, and more.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you so much, Julie. We're coming at the end of our hour, and thank you for being here and having this wonderful talk on one of my favorite topics that fascinates me and I don't know enough about is horses.
well, I have thoroughly enjoyed it, Bart. I think you have quite a bit of knowledge because we didn't have any trouble finding things to talk about. So
Like I say, I'm very curious with them,
I
though I
love
spend little time with them, but I find them absolutely fascinating.
well, I do too. So
And this
thank you for
is,
having me.
well, you're most welcome. Thank you for being here and being here on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network out of New Orleans, Louisiana at 107.7 and 105.3. Just a wonderful worldwide network on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, internet radio, and there's a few other ones in there that you can get on. But if you want to be on my program or get in touch with me, I'm Bart Sharp, bartsharp.com. Become my friend on Facebook. And I would love to send you links to this program so that you can be on the chat and be with us. And next week on the United Public Radio Network at Wednesday at 2 o'clock, we have Laura Lee Potwin, who is a radio show host here on United Public Radio Network. Her show is called The Angel Rock, and she is a medium, always been a medium. And we're going to be talking on the topic. I love this topic, the intuitive life. What is life like on the other side of the logical? So it should be a really interesting hour where we trade secrets and perspectives about what the psychic life is all about. And so, all you psychics, come tune in and join in the chat. And we're just going to have a really fun hour, just like this hour has been
Yay.
really wonderful with Julie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you. It sounds like a great show. I'm probably going to have to tune in next week for sure. So,
Indeed. And I'll see y'all next week. Bye bye.
Good afternoon and welcome to In the Know with Jenny. I'm so glad to have you here today. We're live on the UPRN FM 105.3 in New Orleans and 107.7 in New Orleans. I'm Jenny Nicasio. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And remember to add UPRN to your Roku device. But even though I am not on it for this show, but for Chasing Prophecy, we are. Tune in live across America and beyond and share the live link or drop in a comment. We appreciate it. I want to thank you all for being here. Make sure you drop a comment and let us know that you're on. That's the only way we know we can answer some questions. And I look forward to hearing from you. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We made it to Tuesday, Wednesday, over the hump day. So I'm glad I'm here. A little crazy. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about a couple of things in the news today. I'm so glad that things are starting, well, not really calming down, but a little bit calming down in Ohio. East Palestine with the EPA said don't drink the water. So don't drink the water. I don't think anybody really should drink the water unless you test it. I know I have a purification system in my home, and you should too. There's so much other stuff going on in the news, but I don't really want to talk about that because this is my birthday week. Okay. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to be the big, I hate saying it. I can't say big 50. I'm going to be the big 60. So, and I have to say, this birthday is a little hard for me and the topic we're going to talk about, and I just wanted to let you know and take a moment to share something that's close to my heart. And as someone who has experienced the loss of a loved one, birthdays and holidays are so hard. And I understand firsthand the emotional roller coaster that comes with grief. And what we're going to talk about today, that's what this show is going to be about. Because I, as most of you know, and it's very personal, and I don't like to talk about it too much, but I've lost a lot in my life. And it hits you at any moment, the grief. And during special occasions like birthdays and holidays, the feeling of sadness and loneliness can be overwhelming at times and particularly intense at this particular junction in my life. And with my own birthday coming up, and I didn't turn down my phone with my birthday coming up and a full moon, well, you know how that affects me. I find myself falling in dark places. And I remember those I've lost. But I also want to know and you to know that I'm not alone. I know so many on my Facebook page, friends and family that we all lost somebody. And that's why I wanted to reach out to you today because it's really hard for me. Um, Tomorrow, um, this is going to be the first birthday without my mom, my best friend, and it's really hard. Um, a lot of you know I've lost, my gosh, let's see, in the last 10 years, I've lost my brother, my two sisters, my dad, and my mom. And I have a special guest today. So I hope you can tune in. If you can't tune on live, if you see goes across SoundCloud and all the different platforms, Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker, I think Podbean. So we're all over. And I know all you people out there in America and beyond America, because we reach so many people, we have a special guest. His name is John Allen, and his message is one of hope and healing. And I believe he's the perfect expert for today's show. And I'm glad I saw his PR guy email me. So he's going to help us. He's going to guide us through we can be, what we can be during this trying time and not be, and find comfort knowing that we are not alone in our struggles. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And I'm going to go ahead and bring him on without further ado. And I have a lot of background noise. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but his name is John Allen. And good evening and good afternoon. And I don't know where else we're showing right now. I think it's the UK. What is it in the UK right now?
6 o'clock, 6:05.
6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
We're all over the place. So whatever. Welcome to In the Know, Rich or John. What would you like me to call you?
Yeah, I used John as my author name, John Allen, and that's in memory of my father, who I lost 2 years ago. So my author name is John Allen, but my name is Richard John Allen, actually.
Well, welcome to In the Know. I'm so glad you're here. So I hadn't had time to actually delve into your book. I got it, but I haven't really got into it. But I don't know. You tell me what,
Okay.
where, what brought you to this book? I know you said your father died.
Yeah. So I got here because my father passed away 2 years ago. Prior to that, I was in the corporate world. I worked for insurance companies. I've worked in banks, and just over 2 years ago, when the pandemic started, the insurance company that I work for, I actually live in North Carolina in the United States. I'm originally from Liverpool, England,
Okay.
and I've been in the States now 21 years. Anyway, I'm working for this insurance company in 2019, and then we got the pandemic came along, and early 2020, I lost my job. They shut down the head office here in North Carolina and let the staff go. So I lost my job. And being in North Carolina, I was always in contact with my family in Liverpool. So the first thing I do is I reach out to my dad, who's been my rock, and he still is. And I told my dad, hey, I've lost my job. I can't believe it. I've been there 15 years at this company. And my dad was always there for me, giving me advice. He said, it's okay, son, you'll find something else,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was at the end of 2019. And I actually went over there for Christmas 2019 to see my family. So my mum, dad, and my sister, Gillian. And I had a great week there. I was there, actually, I flew back to North Carolina on Christmas Day. So I was really lucky because I spent Christmas morning with my family and then came back here Christmas afternoon to be with my fiance. So it was a perfect Christmas day for me. But I did notice while I was there, my dad had slowed down. He was walking a little bit slower. He was still the same, funny, witty guy that I love so much. And but I did notice, and even my sister told me, we've noticed my dad slowing down. So at the time, he's 77 years old. So we just thought it was his age. He's just getting a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was January, in 2020, my dad went for a physical. I didn't know, he just went for a physical. And it was in February, and my dad sent me a text message. And he said, hey, son, I've just got the results from a physical. I've got cancer, and it's throughout my whole body. like liver, kidneys, lungs, just everywhere. I'm riddled with it, is the word that my dad used. There's nothing they can do. They're going to put me on chemo and radiation to slow it down, but it is going to kill me. I'm going to die. And I'm sorry if I get upset. I'm sure you can appreciate
No,
it's hard
no.
to talk about, right? And
Mhm.
then I wrote back, can we do FaceTime so I could see him? And he said, no, I'm too emotional. So me and my fiance got the first flight out, and this was early pandemic, so we could still fly.
Mhm.
And I remember we actually counted 15 people wearing masks. So there wasn't that much going on with the pandemic at that time. So we went over there in February 2020 and walked into the house. My dad was sitting in his armchair in front of the TV and stood up, and I walked over to him and we just hugged. It felt like hours, but it was probably only a couple of minutes. I just couldn't let him go.
I know, that's so
And we
tough.
sat, it really is, isn't it? And he sat down and then he started telling me all of this medical mumbo jumbo. I mean, I had no idea all these terminology from the doctors
Mhm.
and treatments and whatever and medicine he was on. And he was just horrible. So I was there for that week and we left and came back. And that's when the pandemic really hit in. And you remember there was a travel ban, the
Yeah.
UK lockdown, the US lockdown. It was just, it couldn't have come as a waste time for us because I wanted to be with my dad as much as I could, but I couldn't
Mhm.
see him. Anyway, we did WhatsApp and email and text messages, and it wasn't until November 2020 my sister Gillian wrote to me, and well, actually a little bit sooner than that. It was the end of October. My dad wrote to me and said, "Good news, the chemo's working. My the kidney, sorry, the cancer looked to be reducing.
Mhm.
So the doctors were saying it's prolonging his life." That was the end of October. So I was getting, my hopes up, thinking, that's great, Dad. He's going to be here for Christmas.
Oh.
It's all going to be good. Well, a couple of weeks later, my sister Gillian writes to me by text and says, come over now. Dad's about to die. And I was like, what? So I told my fiance she couldn't get away from work, unfortunately, but I managed to get a flight over there. And I have to say, Jenny, it was the weirdest thing because I got on the plane and it was a commercial jet, right? There was only like 20 people on the flight. Everybody had masks on. When I landed at London Heathrow, the 4 terminals, 3 of them were closed because nobody's traveling. And the
Yeah.
one I was in was dead. I was just walking through the terminal by myself, basically. And then got the train from London to Liverpool. There's probably a dozen people on the train. And then when I got to Liverpool, my brother-in-law, Stephen, picked me up, drove me to the house. So all this time, anyway, this 24-hour journey from here to England, I kept thinking, my dad's gone. I'm not going to get there in time. So the anxiety was up there and I was just freaking out. Anyway, I walked into the house, dropped the suitcase, ran up the stairs to the bedroom, and I got the shock of my life. He was actually sitting up in bed watching a Western movie. He loves cowboys. And he was watching Clint Eastwood. And I looked at him and I went, Dad? And he looked at me and he went, what the bloody hell? What are you doing here? And I was like, what the? So I climbed on the bed. I'm crying. I'm hugging him. I was just overjoyed. He looked really strong. My mum and my sister were there. We went downstairs, had a cup of tea. I went back up, sat there with my dad. Now, I left on November 19th. No, November 20th. So the Saturday was November 21st, right? Saturday, November 21st. And on Monday, the 23rd, my dad died. So from
Mhm.
sitting up in bed looking strong, drinking tea, going to the bathroom by himself, just 2 days later, he was gone. It just shows how cancer or many of illnesses, right? They can just shut the body down. And I'll never forget, it is a blessing. I was there when my dad took his last breath. I was holding his hand and my mum and sister were there. And one of the nurses told me, it's now. He could tell by my dad's breathing, it's about to happen. He's
Mhm.
passing now. And he went and we were devastated, of course, crying, sobbing, just, it was horrible. And I have to say, um, I asked the nurse, I said, well, how can this be 2 days ago he was so strong? And he explained to
Yeah.
me, it's called a rally,
Yeah, the
apparently.
rally.
The
Yeah.
rally, yeah, right. It's like just before somebody dies, not all the time, but most of the time, the human body kind of rallies, makes one last ditched effort to stay alive, I guess, or
Yeah.
something. So they look good, and then they go, and you're in shock again. It's like the whole thing is horrible. And for me, Jenny, this was my first experience with grief.
Mhm.
My grandfathers and my grandmothers passed when I was younger, so I never really went through this emotion before. So that was it. November 23rd, 2020, suddenly grief was in my life, and it hit me like a sledgehammer. I didn't know what it was, didn't know how to cope with it, how to deal with it. And as you can see, it's still hard today.
I know.
And
It,
sorry, go on. I was
it
going to say, so during this process, it's chaotic, really. I mean, you've suddenly got to deal with a funeral home.
oh, that's the hard part.
Yeah, the get in touch with the morgue, and they have to come and pick up my dad's body, and then you've got to worry about the will. You've got to
Oh,
organize.
there's so much stuff to
Oh
do.
my gosh, yeah, the funeral, the eulogy, the obituary, all the finances. It was just chaotic. We weren't prepared, and
No, nobody's really prepared
no,
for it. It just you just have to go through the motions of it, and you have to just take a breath, and I think that's the hardest thing to do is take a breath, but
yeah,
so
yeah.
much to go.
Well, when this happened, I'll tell you really quickly. Without even knowing, I was collecting things. The name and address of the funeral, the
Mhm.
church, of course, I spoke to, all of this information. Where's my dad's will? Who do I get in touch with as pension, as life insurance? My dad did have the foresight because he had cancer. He knew he was going to pass, so he'd organized some of his funeral himself. But of course, we had to do a lot after he passed. And I'm collecting all these things. Even I went to church. Well, again, because my dad died November 23rd, we couldn't have the funeral straight away because of the
Mhm.
pandemic.
Oh
So
gosh.
we had to
Yeah.
wait 3 weeks. So during those 3 weeks, again, turmoil. But I went to mass several times and I collected the pamphlets. So long story short, after all of this had happened, and we had the funeral on December 15th, I came back to the United States, and I had a bunch of information, documents and pamphlets from the funeral home and yada, yada, yada. And it was my fiance, Alison, who said to me, "Why don't you write a book about this, Rich? You could really help people." I
Mhm.
was like, "I've never written a book in my life." And she's like, my prior job for 15 years at the insurance company, I was a trainer. So I used to stand in a classroom with 50 people and teach. And she said, "You're really good at communicating. You'd be really good at it, Rich. Try." Anyway, that's what happened. I started writing, and if you see my desk now, it's covered in notes. I've got papers everywhere, and it's just thoughts because grief hits you, like you just said, at any moment. I mean, you
Yeah,
can
you
be,
can be anywhere. You can be in the
yeah,
grocery store, song comes on, you're just finding I mean, I was going through pictures and finding pictures and it just it just takes hold of you and nobody understands the grieving process, especially if somebody has never been through it. And we belong to an elite club. I call myself now, and I'm the club. I'm I guess the president of the club. you know, and it's like they don't understand it. You have friends that don't understand, or employees, or people you work with, or associates that they don't understand how it affects you, and
yeah,
sometimes you just don't feel like it. You don't feel like getting up, but I have to say, I mean, like I said, my brother was my first. Losing my brother in 2004.
hmm,
What happened with that was it destroyed my parents physical. They just went downhill when my brother died,
yeah,
and then after that, my sister got sick. Um, she got sick with AML leukemia. It was real quick, and then my other sister got sick. When she had breast cancer when she was young, but it came back, and then we lost her, and then my dad. Um, oh God, my dad. Having losing a sibling is so much different than losing a parent. And then it was just I have my mother that I was very close with, but she was my best friend. And when I lost her I lost her last June. It was like losing my best friend,
mm,
and it just made you feel like, oh my God, I'm an orphan. I lost my mom and my dad. And
Yeah.
then you lose your sisters and brother, and that you think about your own death, and
Yeah.
it's just there's so much emotion. Like you said, you have to go to the, oh my God. Well, when they die in your home,
Yeah.
they come and they take the body.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh my God, you're gone. She's gone. I'm never going to see her again.
Yeah.
And then you have to prepare for it. You're not thinking right. It seems like everything happens so fast and it's so surreal, and you're not thinking right. You think of the funeral, and well, you're sitting there with the undertaker, and he's telling you stuff, and you're not listening. You're not comprehending what they're saying. I don't
Yeah.
know about you. I mean, I know the pandemic, but this was after the pandemic, but you're sitting there listening, and
Yeah.
what is he saying? And then you go to the funeral, and everybody comes up, and they're all nice, and they say hi. I'm so sorry. You want to just say, you have no idea what I'm feeling like. Why
Yeah.
don't you shut the heck up? You
Yeah.
have no idea. And
They
then you
mean
have
well.
you
Yeah.
they mean well, and then you have
Yeah.
friends. There are some friends that they don't. It seems like they don't have any idea what it's like. I mean, especially if they haven't lost anybody. And you think, okay, I'm going through this horrible thing,
Mm.
and then, but there's so many people out there that are having the same feelings. There's so many people that have lost somebody,
Yeah.
and they're dealing with it, and they're trying to pull their bootstraps up, and they're trying to be strong for the young, their kids and their family, and all they want to do, I don't know about you, but all I wanted to do was just pull my hair out and go cry and scream at
Yeah.
scream at God, like, what the hell?
I think one of the worst things that people can say, and I mentioned this in this book, Keep Calm and Cope with Grief, is when they say to you, I know how you feel. Or, and it's like, no,
No,
I
you
know
don't.
they mean well, but they don't.
You
It's
don't know how I feel.
grief. In my experience now, I've actually written 3 books now, and they're on the wall here, actually. Um, Grief is so individual. It really
Yes.
is unique to you. No two people will go through it the same. I mean, there's so many examples of where even the interviews that I've conducted and talking to people, some people don't want to talk about the loved one anymore. Well,
Hmm.
I do. I want to talk about my dad, and I want to
Yeah, they
share his
get you feel
stories.
like they're getting sick of hearing about it. Oh
Yeah,
my God, she's talking about her mom again. She's talking about her brother and her sister
I think you
and her
should.
dad. I mean, who are you? You have to talk
Hmm.
about. They don't just because they're not here, they continue to exist.
Yes,
They exist in all they exist no matter where you are. And
they're still here with us now.
yes, you
I
can.
absolutely believe that. I'll tell
Yeah.
you this too. I still send my dad birthday cards
Well,
and
that's
Christmas
wonderful.
cards. Like, my dad passed 2 years ago, and for the Christmas, well, for example, the Christmas just gone, I sent my mum and dad a Christmas card, and his birthday was last September. I sent him a birthday card, and my mum will open it and put it on the mantelpiece in their house. Just because my dad physically isn't here doesn't mean he's not around me or it's not his birthday. It is his birthday, and I want to celebrate that, so I still send him a birthday card and Christmas
Mhm.
cards and a wedding anniversary card. I still honor those things because my dad still is alive. And I can talk to you about some stories about the afterlife because I truly believe in that. And that was my second book. This one here, it's called Life After This. And that book is all about signs from our loved ones and the afterlife.
Oh, there's so many signs. I mean,
Oh
I
my
don't know
gosh.
about you. I've
Oh, yeah.
when I just want to share this. I think it's something that you have to share with somebody who don't. There's a lot of people that don't believe in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And my first show, Case and Prophecy, I deal with the paranormal and ghosts and all kind of
Yeah.
stuff, reincarnation, UFOs, whatever. But this particular thing that happened to me, and I don't know if you have experienced anything like this, when you talk about the death rattle, and
Mm-hmm.
that day before they die, that's what usually it is. It's usually a day before they actually pass. Well, my mom was excited. I mean, she was talking to all my family. They all came to visit her. But the day of her death, and I want to share this with people because if you have any doubt that there is not a life after death, and when you experience something like this, my mom was She was in her room. We brought her home. We tried to make everything good for her. So they brought her home because they said she was going to die any minute. So we brought her home really quick, and she actually died on the way to her house, but she came back. But that particular day, I'm outside. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful June day, and I went outside and I'm praying because I'm a Catholic, and I was doing the Divine Mercy, and
Hmm.
that's a prayer, and you just ask for mercy. And so I looked up at the sky and I said, "Oh Jesus, please,
Yeah.
please take her now. Let her go in her sleep. Let her be with my dad, please." And I had these chimes on my front porch,
Yeah.
and I just bought it this year, and my mother's about that was that year, and I bought it for my mom, and it was a beautiful cross, and all of a sudden it started to I- jingle,
Yeah.
chime. So I go, oh no. I just had this feeling that she's going. So I ran in the house. I called my son. I said, "You better get home. Better get here. I think she's going to go soon." I went in, and my sister-in-law was there, and we're standing above my mom, and I walked in the room. It was real cold, and I just had chills. And I said, "I think Daddy's my bed." I said, "I think my
Hmm.
dad's here." And all of a sudden, my mother started talking, and I go, "Mommy, what is it, Mom?" And she goes, "Do you hear him?" And I said, "Who?"
Wow.
And she said, "Ralph." And Ralph is my dad's name. And I said,
Wow.
"Daddy?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "What is he saying?" And she said, "He wants to know what time." And I went to my sister-in-law. I go, "Oh my, she's talking to my dad."
Yeah.
And so the day passed a little bit, maybe an hour later. The nurse came in, the hospice nurse came in, and my mom was adamant when she woke up, like, "I want a bath. I want my hair washed. I want to brush my teeth." And she got a bath, and she got her teeth brushed, and she's all, she said, "I'm gonna." She looks great, and the nurse
Yeah.
came, and she did all that, and she was getting changed, and I said, "What do you want to wear, Mom?" And she goes, "I want to look pretty." I said,
Oh.
"Oh, you want to look pretty?" And I'm like, "She wants to look pretty for my dad."
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So the nurse came, and my mom, she had a little bit to eat, and she went back to sleep. And the nurse said when she was leaving, she says, "Yeah, she's doing, she, her vitals are great. We don't, they didn't anticipate her leaving." But that day, that about an hour later, my daughter-in-law was in the room with my mom, and she comes out, and she's watching her, and she goes, "Hey, Mark." That's my son. She goes, "What time is it?" And my son says, "2:30, Grammy." He goes, "Oh, I thought I had more time than this." She fell back to sleep. My daughter-in-law is in the room with her, and she just comes running out. She goes, "Oh, she's breathing. It's funny. You better come in here." And then my mom just went, and she passed. But
Yeah.
that was so
Wow.
beautiful because she heard my dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
knew she was going somewhere. She wanted to look
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
And if for the I didn't hear my mom actually say, you know,
Yeah.
who are you talking to, Mom? And she said, "Ralph." She knew she was going to be with my dad.
Yeah.
So if you believe, I mean, to me, that gave me so much peace. And she wasn't like, because I've seen my sister pass away,
Yeah.
and it was horrible. That she did not have a nice death like that. But
Yeah.
it gives you strength, and makes you believe. And to me,
Yeah.
no, that this is really strange, Rich. You're gonna think this is crazy. My mother's birthday was on January 7th,
Yeah.
and that night I saw something really weird in my we have a surveillance camera, and I saw a glowing green light. And I go, "What is that?" And I let my dog outside, and I go, "Get the dog in, get the dog in. I don't know what this thing is." So I said, I let the dog in. I went to sleep, and I have a crack in my door, and I always leave open for my dog. And I seen that green light outside my door, like pulsating. And I'm like, "What is that?" And I turned around and fell asleep. And about an hour later, I woke up. But I woke up, it was strange because I turned around, and I felt like there's a shadow coming towards me.
Hmm.
And then remember, it's night, it's dark. I felt somebody lay down in my bed with me. And
Wow.
I could feel the presence. This is my mom's birthday.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
would be early morning. And I didn't put two and two together until the next day. It was so comforting because it was so warm and and I leaned in towards the presence, and then I turned around and I started to fall back to sleep, and I said, "Wait a minute, was that Ava, my dog?"
yeah,
And I looked, the door was still cracked open. There was nobody there, and the presence was gone. And I felt like real comfortable and peaceful. And I said, "Oh, that was mom." And I
yeah,
turned around and I went right to sleep. So I thought that was pretty.
yeah.
That was
Wow.
that was a sign.
Yes.
And
And
I
it,
don't.
well,
What do
it's
you
funny
think?
that, well, I believe in it. Absolutely believe it was a sign. Again, we have to be respectful of other people, don't we, who don't believe. I've had people, on my Facebook page and such saying, "No, you're born, you die, and there's nothing."
Oh,
And it's like, well, that's okay. You can believe in that, but I'm a Christian, and the signs that I've had from my dad and from my grandfather, I believe 100% believe. So, but we have to respect other people's opinions. If they say, "Well, I don't believe in that," you say, "Well,
yeah,
okay, well, I have, like you, I've had all of these signs, and it's like I can't explain them. It's got to have been something from my dad. It has to have been. It's just weird. I mean, one quick story for me, Jenny, was I was sitting here at my desk where I do my book writing, and when I was working on the second book, this side, Life After This, that you kind of get brain fog, or I was just tired, and I was upset too because I'm thinking about my dad.
hmm,
So I called out loud, literally sitting in this chair, and I said, "Dad, I love and miss you so much. Um, I hope you're okay. I know you're close to me, but I hope you're doing okay. I miss you." And then on the computer, I opened a web browser, and I started looking at trucks. I guess that's what guys do, right? We're looking at cars and trucks. And I found this website, and there was thousands of trucks, and I clicked on a truck by random, and I'm looking through the pictures. I think it was a Ford F-150, and I'm going through, there's a photograph of the front, the back, the side, inside the truck. Anyway, there was a particular photograph of the dashboard. And the way it's got the touch screen, like the infotainment system thing, the navigation. And on that screen was the radio. And it showed the date and the time and the radio station. And at the particular time when this person took the photograph, I guess, the song that was being played was called "I Am Alive."
oh my,
And I'm like, whoa. I just couldn't believe it. Like literally 2 minutes before, I'm calling out my dad's name saying, "Dad, I know you're around me. I just hope you're doing okay." And then I see a picture that says, "I am alive." Now I've never heard that song before. Didn't know there was a song called that. But I thought, what are the chances that I'm crying out for my dad, hoping he's okay, and then I see a song called that? It was just weird. So I took a screenshot, and I actually wanted to put it in my book, but for copyright reasons, I couldn't do that. But I've kept the picture, of course. And it just blows me away. Things like that happen often. It makes me a believer, 100% believer. But as I've mentioned in my books, it's like, unfortunately, we can't just command it. I can't just sit here and say, "Hey, Dad, send me a message," and something happens. There's no rhyme or reason. It happens at random times. Sometimes I'm having a good day, grief wise. I'm feeling good. I miss my dad, of course, and I lost my dog last year, and that's a whole other thing. But I was having a good day, but you get a sign. And I'm like, wow, I didn't think I needed that uplift, but I got one. Or I could be having a really tough time, and I'm like, I know it was late last year. I was out in the yard cutting the grass, pushing the lawnmower, and I'm listening to music on my headphones. I was doing okay. And suddenly I just broke down. I don't know why. I just clicked. I was thinking of my dad, runny nose, tears all over my face. I was just sobbing. It's just bizarre how grief hits you. And I didn't get a sign from my dad to comfort me because it doesn't happen that way. The signs just come at you at random times, random places. But I believe you have to have an open mind for it to happen. You have to just keep your options, kind of thoughts open to what if. Like, I know a lot of these signs could be just coincidences, or it could be just a random thing. But what if it is a sign from your loved one? I can't dismiss that and say, nah, there's no way it is. No, yes, there is a way it is, because I believe in the other side. I mean, I've interviewed people who have had these near-death experiences. How do you explain that? How can somebody die literally for 30, 40, 50 minutes, experience something, come back to life? They bring the heart back, they're alive again, and then they share the story. How can that be like not real? I just, there's definitely, this isn't the end when we leave this body and this planet. There's definitely life after this.
I hear you.
But so many signs, it's comforting. And even my fiance, she's a scientist and she's very analytic. Like, she looks at data all the time and she needs evidence and proof, of course, and all this. And we've been together now 7 years, and now she believes. You know, she lost her father in 2021, and she's had signs now from her dad. So she's a firm believer. I've converted her to believe somehow. She's just so she believes too. But yeah, grief really is a complicated thing. So my first book, this Keep Calm and Cope with Grief, is really a guide to help you through, you know, if you've lost a loved one or you're about to lose a loved one. Because in that book, I talk about, you know, initially finding out you're losing a loved one, but also how to go about the funeral, how to write an obituary, how to do the eulogy. But I also talk about signs, and I also talk about how to cope with that grief and how to support your family and how your family can support you. You know, it's brought me closer to my family. I've always been close to my family, tremendously close, but this has brought us even closer, this loss.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's.
So what do you suggest people do to move on?
You know, I'm not sure. From my experience, and again, I say this a lot, and I don't mean to be redundant the way I say this, but in my opinion, because again, it's personal, I don't think I can completely move on, right? Like, I'm sure you can't. You can, but you can make things a little bit more comfortable for you, a little bit more, I don't know, accepting of it. I mean, you know, you talk about what's the lady's name again? Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who talks about the 5 stages of grief that we go through. You know, the acceptance, denial, the bargaining, the anger, the depression. You know, those 5 stages. It's like, well, which stage am I in? So how do you get through that acceptance? How do I get there? For me personally, Jenny, I mean, well, let me tell you this. This only happened a couple of weeks ago. Me and Alison, my fiance, are talking. And I don't know how it came about, but I said to Alison, you know what? I'm not afraid to die. And she said, what? And I said, I'm at peace, you know? And she goes, what are you saying, Rich? And I said, well, think of it this way, Alison. I know that when I die, when it's my time, I will see my dad again. He's there. And so is my dog and my grandparents. And I know I'll see them. So, of course, I'm in no rush to die, right? Nobody is. But when it is my time, I know I'll see him again. So that in some way, well, it comforts me. And I don't feel afraid. It's like I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying trying to get the message out to help people with grief. But I know that I'll see him again. Absolutely no. But as far as like, what can people do to move on? I had somebody ask me, you know, a similar question. And I said, well, maybe you can do things in honor of your loved one. And it doesn't have to be anything dramatic, but, you know, maybe you did something with your father, like you went fishing, or you used to walk the dog around the block, or you went to the local park and sat on a bench, or maybe once a month you went to a particular coffee shop and had coffee with your mom or your dad or your sister or whoever this loved one is that you've lost. Well, maybe you can still do that. They're not with you physically, but maybe you can go and sit on that park bench. Maybe you can go fishing where you used to go with your dad. And just taking part in that activity will make you feel closer to that lost loved one and experience their love while you're doing it. Yeah, it's okay to cry too. I mean, I'm crying all the time since I've lost my dad. I just can't help it. And there's nothing wrong in that. So if you participate in something like this, it's okay if you break down during that process to cry. But just understand that you're only crying because you love that loved one. Grief, I believe, is just recognition of your love that you had for those people. And you can't measure it on a scale. It doesn't mean, well, you know what, I cry more than my sister. Since my dad died, I cry more than my sister. I don't know if I do. I'm just saying, if I did, that doesn't mean I love my dad more just because I cried more, right? You can't measure it that way. People, again, are individual with grief. We react in different ways. I know some people who have lost husbands and wives and they've cleaned out the house. Like everything that reminded them of their loved one, they had to remove because it was just too painful. Now, that's okay because that's what it takes for them to cope. Whereas if I look at my own mother, when I go back home to Liverpool and I walk in my mum and dad's house, everything is still there. Like if my dad was to walk in the door today, it's just like he left it. His coat is still on the coat rack. His shoes are still there. His tools are in the shed. You know, in fact, in the bathroom, when I go over there and I'm in the bathroom having a shave, if I open the bathroom cabinet, his razor, his shaving brush, it's all still there. My mum has left everything that my dad had in that house just the way it was. And that comforts my mum. And that's great. If that's what she needs, I applaud that. And I like that because when I go back home there, it's nice to see my dad's belongings around, you know, it brings me peace. But again, you have to find what works for you. You could
Yeah.
try something, it doesn't work, try something else, you know, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of options. And I talk about that actually more in my third book. I'm trying to think what's like this one. So this one's called Nature's Reach. And this one's all about how nature can help you with grief. Now, I'm not trying to just say, you know, you should be on medication, you shouldn't go to your doctor or a counselor or a therapist if that's the treatment you seek for grief. I'm simply saying in this book, nature can help you too. And it certainly helps me a lot. But yeah, nature is very comforting to me.
Yeah, I think definitely the nature is very comforting. I would say if I could live somewhere where the weather is nice all the time, I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And you have to start doing things for yourself too, um, and just try to move on because I mean you could just get wrapped up in grief and it can eat you alive.
yeah,
And days like today, um, I feel like just running away. I mean, there's so many things against me right now, and I don't even know if I'll be able to finish the show. This not this particular one, but I don't think I'm coming back after today.
yeah,
Um, I just I don't know. You, there's forces out there that try to destroy you. They'll do anything they can to try to bring you down, and I can feel that right now.
yeah.
And
Well,
many.
can I ask you a question, Jenny?
Hmm.
So this is a conversation I had with my fiance Alison, right? So when we die, where do you think we go?
Oh, definitely. I believe there's a heaven or an afterlife.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't believe that. Do you if I
What
didn't
do you
feel
think
like
it's
there
like
was,
when you go there, though?
I
What
think,
do you think?
well, in my particular, well, in the field, I think there's it's energy. I think there's all there is
Mm-hmm.
energy, and I believe that you can make your heaven the way you want to make it. There was a movie once with Dustin Hoffman. I don't know if you remember the movie. I can't remember. His wife died, and he went back into this place,
Yeah.
that he could make it the way he wanted it with his mind. And
Oh wow.
that's what I think it is. I mean, it would be nice to think, oh, everybody's sitting around having, they're just doing nothing. But I think heaven has everybody has a job there.
Yeah.
I think if whatever you did here on this earth that you are doing there, maybe to help people on earth. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's interesting.
what do you think?
Well, I think I agree with you. I think you become an energy because Alison said to me, I'm here in North Carolina and my mum's in England, right, with my sister. And Alison said to me, "Well, if your dad is here with you, Rich, how can your dad be in Liverpool with your mum at the same time?" And I said, "That's a great. I love these conversations with Alison." And I said to her, "Well, I think, in my opinion, Alison, you're thinking of it the wrong way. You're thinking of it as like when you die, we're still this construct, we're still this like physical being, and we're no longer that. We become, like you just said, Jenny, this energy. So you become one with the universe. You're like your senses. I haven't got the words to describe it. It's like you just become this energy and part of the universe. Like you can feel, taste, touch, smell everything. And that sounds so dramatic, but again, it's only because our minds are so restricted in the body that we're in, right? So once we go to this other side, I honestly believe that it's just like boom, you've just got this massive, unmeasurable amount of energy. And I can feel that my dad's there, and I can feel that my dog is there, my grandfather, my grandmother's, everybody that I love is around me. And it's I don't know how else to describe it. So my dad can be here with me and around everywhere, around my sister, around my mom, and know everything that's going on because he's not constrained like we are in these human bodies. But again, it's just my opinion, right? That's just what I think. But who knows until we go there? But there's definitely a there to go to, if I can put it that way. Yeah,
Yep. I don't
it is
I
interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
And hopefully people can get over and move on when they lose somebody.
yeah.
But
And remember that like you said when we came on, there are so many people going through this, and I think because of COVID, right? I think death has become more at the forefront. Like it's certainly on the news a lot more, right? Especially a year or two ago, with the number of people dying from COVID. So we're definitely going. We're talking about loss of our loved ones more, and how we're coping with that grief. It's more of a common conversation, sadly.
mhm.
But we're not alone. And I tell people all the time, should you buy one of my books, please leave a review and leave your story. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but it helps others to share. And I can't tell you how many people have been on my Facebook page and written such lovely things, and they support each other. They say, "Well, I lost my brother. Well, I lost my brother too. Oh my gosh." And they've connected and they're helping each other with the grief. And it's such a blessing for me to sit here and watch and read this chain of conversation on my Facebook page without me doing anything. And it's just lovely to watch that these people are finding help with each other just by sharing their own stories,
Oh
you know?
yeah, it's nice to have a support group. I tried to go
Hmm.
to a support group, but I cried the whole time I was there, so I said heck with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It
think it
is.
was just too I think it's just too early. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only been, it hasn't even been a year yet for me with my mom, and it's been tough. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's other, like I said, there's no reason or rhyme. I just
Yeah.
it's hard to deal with. But I want
Right.
to thank you for joining us today. If you want to get your book, go to Amazon. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, all three books are on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon.com and look up, the first one is Keep Calm and Cope with Grief. Then you've got Life After This, which is signs from your loved ones and how to contact them as well, how you can reach out to them. It's not a phone call, so you don't, it's not an immediate response, but there's ways in there that I mentioned in that book. And then the third book, Nature's Reach, is about how nature can support you through
Okay.
grief too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we
Thank
hope
you.
somebody grabs the book, and hopefully it'll help them. You
I
have
hope so.
you
Yeah.
have
Thank
an
you.
enjoyable rest of your day. Well, it was very interesting. I find it hard to deal with grief, especially today. And there's some things that I want to say. If you get a chance to get the book, it seems like it's a really good book to read, and um, hopefully things will work out. But for me, I think this is going to be my last day doing in the know. I know you're so sad. I have too much other stuff going on in my life right now, and I thought this was going to be something that was going to help me um you know, bring light to you guys, but it's bringing more than light to me right now. So on that, I would like to say goodbye. Um, I may see you back on Chasing Prophecy. I may not. I don't even know if I want to continue that either. But it has been great. I hope somebody learned something from this. Have a great day. It's Wednesday. Have a great life.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Sean Kelly from Into the Night with Sean Kelly. Um, we are on UPRN Radio 105.3 in New Orleans and 107.7 in New Orleans. So we got two radio stations there. But, if you want to tell your friends, if they want to come and watch the show, tell them to go to the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society Facebook page and like us and subscribe or whatever you got to do. And every week on Tuesday nights, you can pick up the show Chasing Prophecy, and you can also pick up my show Into the Night. So, how was everybody's week? Mine was same old week. Nothing changed. Hey, Anthony, how are you, brother? Good to see you again. Thank you for coming on the show. That's my buddy Anthony. He's from Texas. And I noticed that my week has just been like every other ordinary week. The only difference is we got a full moon out there. Okay, and I like to talk a little bit about the full moon, a little bit. Um, it was taught to me a long time ago when I really first started getting into the metaphysical world that the moon lets off a lot more energy than the sun. Please, whoever's out there, correct me if I'm wrong. But whenever there was a full moon out there, I would literally go sit on my front porch, especially during the summertime, and just look up at the moon and absorb the energy that it has. Um, I will, be the first one to tell you, yes, it does have a lot of energy. And a lot of people came up to me and they said to me, well, you know what? The tides rise and people go crazy. And hey, Doreen, how you doing? Ah, the warm moon. Hi, Doreen. Good to see you. The moon today is called the worm, worm, WRM moon. That's cool. But before I go on, okay, I do have, let me look it up here. I want to give a shout out. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. All right. I want to give a shout out to, I will find my notes. I had it, but of course I lost it, so bear with me. Okay, here we go. I want to give a shout out to the PA, Pennsylvania Spirit Seekers. And the boss of that group is Doreen Vogel. She's in the chat today. So if you have any questions that you want to bring up to Doreen, she's in the chat now. Very good investigator. Really knows what she's doing. Um, she's good. Her group is good. And if you want to get a hold of them, their email is PA Spirits, PASPIRITS Seekers, SEEKERS, all one word, .com. And if you want to email them, it's the same name, PASPIRITSEEKERS @gmail.com. Maybe Doreen later on in the show would, type in her paranormal group. But I want to give a shout out to her and her group. They're very good. But yes, it is definitely the full moon, and am I I dealt with the crazies today. I sure did, you know. And I hate calling them crazies because I know that um, our body is made up of 70% water. So what happens during the full moon? Okay, especially to the oceans, there's always tides that rise. So I really believe that it affects the body, um, our water, and that's the water inside our body, and that's what kind of like um, makes people do stupid stuff, I guess. You know, um, who knows? But I believe that's true. But yeah, it's funny because in this warm, WORM moon, I cannot pronounce that. Sorry. In Pittsburgh, we call it worms. So if you understand worms, it's a Pittsburgh thing. But you know, it just I guess it was the last 3 or 4 days whenever it was coming up to the full moon that, and not so much people acting strangely and behaving strangely, but it just seemed the whole atmosphere, like all the whole universe. It was just like I want to say dull, like it wasn't happy. And here in Pittsburgh, we hardly ever see the sun. And it was just gloomy, roomy, pretty bad. So now, is that the cause of the effects by the full moon? Does this happen all the time? Now, in my experiences with the full moons, not always. I know that I get really tired sometimes, um, and during the full moon, but it's really crazy because I get really tired, but then again, I'm getting all this energy. But I do want to, come out and tell you guys since you guys are really close. Hi, Michael Anthony. Yes, it has been a very nasty day. Yes, it has. That's my other buddy, Michael Anthony. Very good man. Um, but I need to tell you, everybody, tell everybody since we're close, and I'm not ashamed to tell you what's going on. I got blood tests done the other day, and it came back with the results where, hey, Tommy Miller's another one. Oh, great. Hi, Swan. I definitely agree about the weird vibes out there leading up to this full moon. Thank you. That's 2 people, 3 people. But I got blood tests done, and I do, according to the doctor, I do have diabetes. And you know what? I'll be okay with it. Um, I'm just staying away from the good stuff, white bread, white rice, white whatever, you know. But so I'm taking. I don't know what the name of the medication is, and I also given me like 25 milligrams of vitamin D. Vitamin D. I love that. I love it because I tell you what, it gives me a ton of energy. You know, uh, Metformin. That's it, buddy. Thank you. Metformin is what I'm taking. But what's really crazy about the vitamin D that I'm taking, and from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that it's because we don't get enough sun here in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure, but it gives me the energy. It's like a substitute. Oh, it does. Okay, thanks, Mike. Vitamin D also protects from flu viruses. Thank you. So that's where I'm at, and I'm not throwing a pity party. I don't believe in the pity parties, or I didn't feel bad about myself, or holy crap. Doreen Bogle says I have to take 50,000 IUs of vitamin D. Oh, Michael, you're a diabetic, bro. Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you for sharing that. 50,000. Oh my God, that's a lot of IUs. But it works for me, you know. And when I got the results, back, yeah, I didn't feel sad. In fact, I kind of knew. I just had that like sixth sense of some sort that I knew I was eventually going to get it because it does run in my family a lot. But I'm okay. I didn't go off the deep end, which is like really, really cool for me, And it's just like simply growing up, and that's what I call it, growing up. So I'm taking the baby steps to go to where I need to be. Um, what else is happening with me? Oh, Lord, so much stuff. Well, I knows I put my vacation in June, and I think I'm going to go down to North Carolina. I'm going to go to North Carolina in June, the first weekend of June. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go gold prospecting. You know, I like North Carolina a lot because the people down there are very, very. I know your issues, hon. I really do, and I still pray for you. And I'm going to pray for everybody too tonight. You know, but I'm going down there to do gold prospecting. The people that live down in North Carolina, oh my God, they're wonderful people. Beautiful. You know, Pittsburgh has a lot of wonderful people too. But in North Carolina, it's different. I like to drive down, and what I'm impressed with is the Appalachian Mountains or Appalachian, however you want to call it. Um, it, it's beauty. It's gorgeous. You go in Pennsylvania and you go on these mountains and you look over and you see all these trees that, especially in the fall, that are changing over. And Pennsylvania's gorgeous. It really is. But going down through the Appalachians is even more. Um, it's about on the same range as how pretty Pennsylvania is. Yes, so is Gettysburg. Yeah, I'm going to take a weekend one time to go up to Gettysburg, and I'll tell you all when I'm going up. So if y'all want to come up, we'll go to Gettysburg. Maybe I'll come out of retirement for a couple days and do some investigating. But still, I'm really excited about my vacation coming up in my truck. My God, I love it. I love it, especially on the cold, cold mornings where I have the automatic startup, and I got 15 minutes to get once I start it up and into my truck. And I got the heated seats, and believe it or not, I got a heated, steering wheel. It might sound like that I'm bragging about it, but you know what? I never had a truck before in my life. I never had the automatic startup on any of my cars, and I don't know. I should have been smarter and got them on the other cars, but no, I'm just yeah, I am spoiled. It's about time for me to be spoiled. You know, I got 7 more years left, and I'm gonna retire, and God only knows where I'll be, but I am gonna travel. Now I'm gonna have to actually learn how because I do want to get I do have to get a trailer. I want to get like a little, tag along or whatever they call them, and just go because I will be able to experience America and go out west because that's my goal is to go out west. I so want to go to Montana. I so want to go to South Dakota, Idaho, out that way. I want to see it. You know, I've been up and down the East Coast so many times that it's time for me to venture out west. You know, I do got a vacation coming up in September, and I think I'm going to take a ride out and see my son out in Indiana. He's out there now. He's in the Indianapolis area, and I'm going to go out and go. Maybe have a couple dinners with him or a couple breakfasts. With me and him, I am so proud of my son. Um, what he has accomplished in his life and to get to where he's at. But heading to bed. Have a good night, buddy. You too, Doreen. Good night. Sweet dreams. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Um, but I'm just so proud of him and what he does. I really can't get into what he does because it's like kind of like highly classified and stuff like that. But you know what? Whenever I go visit my son, when he was at Ohio State, I'd go down. And we're lucky we could actually spend 5 hours together without getting, into fights. But to take a ride out, it's like what, 5.5 hours from Pittsburgh to go out there to Indiana, and I'm going to do that this year on my second vacation in September. And I'm looking forward to that trip. So that's me in a nutshell. Um, Now, as you all know, that I am the co-host with Jenny Nicasio on Chasing Prophecy. That's the show that comes on this station, UPRN Radio 105.3 and 107.7 New Orleans. We come on from 7 to 9. So tonight, we were supposed to have a guy named Tom Reed. And in 1969, in a little town called Sheffield, Massachusetts. Um, there was 40 people spotted a UFO up in the skies, and there were 2 or 3 people that actually got abducted, I guess, you know, and and it was like, and they all had the same stories of some type, seeing the same type of UFO, the same lights, the same everything, and so this Tom Green is is like really really big into it because he didn't keep his mouth shut. He kept talking about it. But so there is a little documentary on Netflix, and it had to do with it. Eventually, what I'll do is I'll come back to it. Hopefully, I can find the show. But it was pretty interesting, you know. And what the other, that's the question I want to ask you. Why do some people get abducted? What is it about the people that I mean, do they just choose? Now I've heard in past shows from past guests that it comes down generation, family wise, And me and Jenny were talking about that, on Chasing Prophecy. And I don't know why they choose it. I don't know why. If I had an answer, I think, everybody would be able, you know, to understand what's going on. But you know what? It's crazy. Doreen told me something earlier that I didn't realize. Mm, Um, I got it in the text message here from her. Um, Let me see. She said uh, something about president. Okay, she wrote, when you were talking about aliens, did you know that Dwight Eisenhower had a secret meeting with them? The reason that the government hasn't come out and said, yes, they are real, is because we are not ready to hear the whole truth. And I can understand that, you know, but I also told her, I said, you know what? It's the 21st century. And that's all we've been talking about. That's all people are interested in is UFOs. And maybe if they were smart enough, okay, if they were smart enough, the government, they would come out and tell us all about them. I mean, there's not going to be a mass hysteria. I mean, everybody is so open minded now about them. Why not just say it? Why not just say it? I mean, it's crazy. Who in the hell is going to go after an alien base in the ground or in the water? I believe there are more alien bases in the water. And when I say this to you, I, I mean, I have been working with Jenny for almost 4 years now, and we have. Hey, Matt, what's up, buddy? It's my friend Matt Barron. He's a paranormal consultant. Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude to catch up with. Um, so, you know, to me, I believe that there are more bases under the water. Okay. And which brings me up to, you know, Tom Reed. Okay. Now, if you notice in all those shows and in the news, you hear about all these UFO sightings happening out in California, Washington. Matt says, just stopping by. Whoop, hold on. My little thingy stepped in front of what he was saying. Matt says, just stopping by to show my support quickly and share. Wife is feeling under the weather. Much love, everyone. Much love to you. Much love to your wife, Matt. Okay, I'll say a couple prayers for her tonight. Hope she gets better. And thank you very much for sharing this. I appreciate it. Um, so you see all these UFOs sightings and stuff out west, like California, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, California, Washington State, and that's all the places that they seem to talk about. But as I was doing my research, and I brought this up on some prophecy, and I just wanted to bring it up to you guys and tell you guys. But as I was researching Sheffield, Massachusetts, about UFO sightings and stuff like that, I found out something very, very interesting about Massachusetts or the New England states. Okay, that's New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, um, Massachusetts. And it was like, holy crap. There's like 5 or 6 states out there that have a lot of UFO sightings. And I was like, the first thing that came out of my mind, I Googled, how are there any large bodies of water that is located around here, around Sheffield? And when they came up, I was like, wow, bingo. Okay. Um, Now that night when the UFO, stopped off in Sheffield, it stopped off at 3 other different towns at the same time. It was like a straight line. And I don't know the towns now. Okay. I'm just giving you a recap of what I read and what I did my research. And what was amazing was that there's a real big, humongous lake right there. And it begins with the letter Q. Quip or quick, Cuke, something like that. If anybody can tell me the name of that deep lake here, please tell me. But what was crazy about that was um, that lake was like almost not even a mile or two, maybe 5, 10, I don't know, but it was very close to that body of water, right? But here's what else is like really, really crazy. Okay. Um, so after I Googled the water, I also Googled military bases. And there are a lot. There's like 3 or 4 different military bases there, um, surrounded by that lake. And these military bases are next to these towns that UFO stopped by. Um, so what that did for me was that, and this is my opinion, okay, that that UFO came out of that huge lake. And there's a lot of mountains up there too in the New England states. So I'm sure there's some underground bases going on over there, you know. But so we're going to have Tom Green on Chasing Prophecy next week, 7 to 9 on the UPRN radio, 105.3 New Orleans. And I really want to hear his story. I know right now he's out at a UFO conference out there in Roswell right now. There's a big thing going on out there, and that's where he's at. Um, but I'm really looking forward to the show. And if anybody here is listening to my show tonight, go and, do a little research on Tom Green. It's THOM Reed, REED, Tom Reed. He has a very interesting story, and I know for a fact he's going to be a very interesting guest on the show tonight, on next week. But so that's where I'm getting this. There's, like I said before, you're getting all these UFO sightings out west and in the Midwest, you don't hear too many here on the East Coast. And, it was like, I was a little upset. I mean, not to the point where maybe that's the wrong word that I use, upset, but no, I mean, this is like in our own backyard here. I'm from Pennsylvania, and it's like it's in our own backyard, but we never hear about any of the UFOs sightings that were here in the New England states, Maine, New York. Think about it. Now, there's a show out there called Missing 411, The Hunted, and I do believe the guy's name David Peldes or something like that. Um, you have to excuse the way I pronounce words because I am from Pittsburgh, and Michael knows, and Tommy knows, Doreen knows that we have a different type of accent here, which is totally different from a lot of places. So when I try to pronounce words, I do it the Pittsburgh way. Um, but back to the story though. I'm a little upset that nothing was mentioned about the East Coast UFOs going around. Um, but I wasn't. What it did was it really, really gave me a lot of time, and I thought about it that I have to do a little bit more research into this, you know, and and that's what I'm going to do, and maybe I can bring a couple snippets, you know, next week to tell you guys, what I have picked up. So, the main thing I want to talk about today is all right, think about it, right? So, we're here on Earth, and you've listened to everybody talking about ETs, aliens, UFOs. And it's like, I was at work today, and I knew we were going to have talk about UFOs and aliens next week, today. So all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, I got this clarity. It was like, okay, we talk about the aliens a lot in the UFOs and where they come from. Have you ever wondered why or what the aliens think of us? Think about it, right? So, you know, then my mind started to race. Um, my mind started to race, and I started to come up with all these ideas. And I'm not going to tell you the whole thing because I'm going to kind of like make this into a little short story, so you guys can keep coming back to my show and listening to it. But think about it, right? So there's this alien, I'll call him Gizmo, all right, Gizmo, the alien. And he's up there sitting on wherever planet he is, wherever moon he's in, whatever star he's at. And he has a son next to him, and that's Gizmo Jr., right? So Junior turns around and he's looking out in the galaxy and he says, Daddy, what's up with the Earth, the big blue planet? And Gizmo just turned around and said, there are some crazy freaking people on that planet. And then he says, well, what are you talking about? He said, all these people down there, they talk about us. They talk about me. They talk about you and what kind of craft we have and what kind of planet do we live on. But aren't we supposed to go down? This is Junior talking. Aren't we supposed to go down and kind of help them understand who we are? Are we not supposed to go down there and tell the people, hi, my name is Gizmo Jr., and say, hey, what questions do you have about us? If you want to call it that. And Junior looked up at him and said, "You know what, Dad? That's not right. That's not right that we do this. I think everybody should get along, and we should know about each other." And Gizmo just sit there and he kind of like put his head down, and he didn't have a tear, but he said, "You know what, son? You're right. We should." So Gizmo and Junior took a little, ride in their UFO down to Earth. What's Matt? Oh, he went. Tony, he went. Anthony, he went. Um, and so they got into their UFO and they took a little ride down to Earth. And they landed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they just sat there on a building. They were cloaked so no one could see them. And they saw how wonderful Earth people were, especially in Pittsburgh, because we have good people in Pittsburgh. And I'm sure where everybody else is at, they have good people where they live. So actually, you can put any city that you want. If you live in Wheeling, West Virginia, you can say Wheeling. But Gizmo and Junior, they're up there sitting on the building, the U.S. Steel building, and looking down. And they're watching everybody. It's rush. And everybody's walking around. It's daytime. It's like nobody cares. All they care about is getting from point A to point B. And Junior looks up at Dad and says, "You know what? This isn't right. Nobody talks to anybody here. And everybody seems to be angry too. Why is that? Why is that, Junior?" No, Junior said, "Why is that, Gizmo?" Or Dad, whoever you want to call him. And he said, "There's a lot of secrets here on Earth that we know of that they don't know, especially the secrets that has to deal with our kind." And old Junior there, he was like getting confused and stuff like that. He said, and Gizmo said, "You know what, dude?" He goes, "One day you'll learn. One day you'll learn about Earth people. But Dad, when we're up there on the spaceship, we don't talk about them like that. We just look at them like they're people, not animals. And we all know, everybody tells us what they're all about. They tell us. All the aliens know about us. But their government won't tell them? Nobody will tell them about us? I think that's really unfair." And Gizmo, all he could do was just, put his head down and shake his head. He said he knows. But God bless Junior, that's all I could say. Because Junior, he was getting his Irish up, or his alien up. Yeah, his alien up. And um, he's like, we got to change this. We have to change this. And Gizmo looked and turned around, looked down at him, and said, "You know what? Good luck." "Well, Gizmo, Dad, I am going to make this happen." And so they went back into their spaceship, and they went back to where they belong, where they live. And at that, I'm going to leave it at that. So, is it possible that the aliens think about us like that? You know, the only way you're going to find out is if you have to come back next Tuesday to my show, and then we'll do chapter 2 on it. You know, and I mean, it's not um, a thing for you guys to come and watch my show. I hope you guys come and watch my show because I do. If I put on a good show, that's why you're here. But you know what? It gives me another week in order to figure out more about how what the aliens think about us. Do they want to control us? If they wanted to control us, they would have done it already. If they wanted to take all our food away from us, or they wanted to make us robots, they would have done that already. Now, look at it like this. Now, is there, we'll say, uh, Greys, reptilians, and Nordsmen are like three aliens I know about. Okay? Now, say like the Greys are working with the United States. Think about it. Roswell happened in 1947, 1951, 52 came out the first, oh Jesus, where you put food in, came out microwave. Okay. 1947, Roswell happened. 1951, 52, I do believe that's when microwaves came into play. Right. And after the microwaves came into play, there was a lot more things, um, technology wise, that I can guarantee we did not know all that crap. I can guarantee it of all the stuff. And then they come with phones, and then they come with chips, and then they come in with microchips. Our Navy, our Air Force, they have planes that are built similar to so called UFOs, where they go undetected. And I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why the government doesn't want us to know the secrets of the aliens. Okay? Maybe that's one reason why they don't want us to know, because they're afraid that the Chinese or the Russians or the North Koreans and whoever out there is going to say, oh, they gave us all this technology, blah, 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 blah. But now, so we got the Greys. And so China decided to say, okay, you know what? We're going to take the reptilians. And they made a deal with the reptilians. Now the reptilian aliens, the reptilians, they're not good people. Okay. Um, they like to, and this is how I proceed to tell you. So I might be way off base, but this is how I look at it. So the reptilians, they hang out with China, right? Because China and the aliens, reptilians, they made a deal, and so the reptilians are given the Chinese stuff. Okay. Now right now that the states, U.S. and China, there's some negative talking going on in the world now between us two. But also now you got Russia in the picture who is fighting Ukraine, correct? So I'm saying the Nordsmen because they're big and giant. They're like Vikings, if you want to say. And so the Vikings, I guess, were good or not good. Who knows what they were? But thinking of that, uh, Russians and the Giants, I'll call them Giants, okay? They made a kind of deal. And the Giants actually gave, um, different types of weaponry, something, whatever. I lost track of mine. So you got three different aliens working with three different countries. Two don't like us, right? Now, the ones that came to the United States, is it possible that they had the better material, the better knowledge. Okay. Possibility? Who knows? Now, this is the way I look at it. 4 years of doing radio, and this is how I'm looking at it. And people might think I'm crazy, or they might think I'm a nut, and it is a full moon and it's getting close to St. Patrick's Day, right? But this is how I feel. And to me, there's no way that the governments can hold us back. Now, we talk to a lot of people on Chasing Prophecy. We have. And a lot of people, a lot of our guests have said that it is the right of power, you know, money, power. But you can only do so much with that money and power. What more can you have? The Rothschilds, come on, the richest people in the world. That dude, George something, who has all that money, who wants to start a new world order. He has a ton of money. And he can do whatever he wants with it. But what's the power? What is the power? What can power do for you? Tell you what to do? Well, they're trying to do this new world order shit, and I don't understand it completely. But you know what? We're fighting back on it. We are fighting. We're fighting on it. But the militaries of China, Russia, and the United States have just come out and say, hey, this is what we have. And if you want to attack us, then you know what? Try. Do what you have to do to figure out how to stop us. But there's only one way now to stop everything is a nuclear war. Did we learn that from the aliens? Did we learn it from the scientists? What Dorian said about, was it Eisenhower having a, private meeting? Do the aliens have, the book of life? Do some of the pictures that you've seen in the Vatican and in the books, on the computer and stuff, that you see, the rise of Jesus Christ? And there's all these little bright lights up there in the sky, you know. And some claim, just some, not all, some claim that they're UFOs. Okay. A lot of people, and this is what I've heard through my guests, I've heard a lot of people say that, Jesus Christ could possibly be an alien. This is how crazy this whole shit and caboodle has gotten to. And all it does is just drive people crazy. But you want to hear something funny, though? Here is something extremely, extremely funny. And I can attest to this. If you tell somebody the truth, that person will think you're lying. And if you tell a person a lie, that person will think that you're telling the truth. So they can come out and tell us whatever we want to hear. Is it the truth? Or is it a lie? Is it, coming out? Remember back when they had, 43 photos of UFOs? Or Tic Tacs? Come on, please give me a break. We know they're UFOs. And out of the 43 of those pictures that they showed out, now, I have people who will back me up, and if I'm saying the wrong number, please feel free to tell me. But and only one picture could a possibility be a UFO? It's hogwash. It's horseshit, is what it is. To me, it's horseshit. I think what would really, really, really make the world a better place is if they come out and told us the truth. What's it going to hurt? But then again, like I said before, you tell us the truth, we're going to think you're lying. So there's no win-win situation in this whole thing. And, the government or whoever is going to throw us a bunch of malarkey out there. Just deal with it, you know? I'm going to be 61 in June, and I'm still alive, okay? None of this Project Blue Beam, Blue Shield, or whatever now you want to call them, going on. It's not going to, it might have happened. Was it Blue Beam, I think? Um, Project Blue Beam was where our government were going to put holograms up in the sky and pretend that there was an alien invasion going on, just to see what people would feel or do. But you know what? We're not dumb no more. We are not dumb. We know what's going on. I mean, I could do a couple shows on knocking the government, but I won't, not tonight, because it's about how I feel about the whole thing. And I'm sure there's a ton of conspiracies going out there, but right now, tonight, I really don't want to get into a conspiracy about it. I'm just telling you how I feel. And the whole motto of my whole show tonight was, my whole motto for it was, if they tell us the truth, then maybe we can go and start a brand new, better life. And that's how I feel. All right, Anthony, see ya. Got to get off. See you next time. Thank you for sharing and being you, brother. Thank you for being you too, Anthony. Thank you. And good luck over there at the forest. Um, good luck to you guys. But that's how I feel tonight. I just thought I'd share it. What do the aliens really think about us? Who knows? And I'm sure they're not supposed to say anything. Or what is it? They talk to each other through their minds, mental telepathy. Wow. So what? I know for a fact that, I'm going to be dead before any of this happens, you know. But I just got to accept the fact that when I wake up in the morning, that I'm going to have to deal with that day because there's no guarantee for me for the next day. There's no guarantee. And in the past, the day before, it's over with, it's gone. So all I have to do is worry about today. Am I going to freak out? This is me. Am I going to freak out if I see 10,000 freaking UFOs coming down and, blasting us off the earth or whatever? I can't worry. I wouldn't worry. I might be worried for other people, but, for me, no. Because, again, was it written in the book of life? Jenny, Jason Prophecy in the know with Jenny says they think we are weak. And that's my co-host, Jenny Nicasio, right there. Good. I'm glad that it's fun. We are weak. But Jenny, how can we be strong? Does our government think we are weak? Weak? Or the government? Who knows? Who knows what's up? But again, I want to thank you for listening to the show tonight. Next week, I have a show coming up, and it might hurt some feelings or whatever, but I really need to do this. Um, talk about how the Irish were treated when they came over here to the United States in 1863, 61, 63 after the Potato Famine. I'm going to do a show on that. And then I want you to compare. I want you to compare. They were treated like dog shit, is what they were treated like. So I hope you all tune in next week for the show. Don't forget, we'll have chapter two of Gizmo and Gizmo Jr. And children, please, whatever you do, if you can, go up to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go up and give your kids a hug and tell them that you love them. And with people who have no children or no parents, hug somebody, a friend, a good friend, and tell them that you love them. And when you say this, mean it. Seriously mean it. Because those three words, I love you, will go a long way. And on that note, thank you for watching. Um, See you next week. Happy hunting.
Do you ever look out into the vast sea of the universe? And challenge even your own imagination? You don't think we're alone, do you? When you hear that the government is doing something, you always believe it, don't you? We are your third eye. This is Chasing Prophecy. Challenging your beliefs and pushing the boundaries of your imagination. If it's unexplained, we're talking about it. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, we cover everything from political mayhem and tyranny to alien abductions and paranormal phenomena. You are not alone. This is the Chasing Prophecy radio program. And now your hosts, Jenny Nicasio and Sean Kelly.
I like that.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Chasing Prophecy on FM 105.3 in New
Hi, Michael.
Orleans, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scope of normal. I'm Jenny Nicasio, along with my fabulous co-host Sean Kelly
Oh
from
boy, what
Pittsburgh,
does she want?
Pennsylvania,
What
and
does she want? What do
and
you want?
we're on FM 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans and in Henderson Point. Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, and subscribe. We need you to subscribe because if you don't, we don't know you're actually out there watching. And I want you to watch because I think we're pretty cool. And
Right.
we're on Roku devices, so tune in live across America and beyond into the universe.
Oh Lord.
We look forward to hearing from you in the chat. So make sure you chat with us tonight because, we could be time travelers or interdimensional creatures from a multi portals and all across the universe and beyond. But I have my crown on because I am the queen of UFO Paranormal
And
Network.
I'm not gonna bow either. Nah.
No, well, you should because you're in the presence of royalty. And I must
Okay.
say, I'm rather chic in my lovely crown with my jewels because it's my birthday week and I am celebrating. So if you're listening, guys, I want you to wish me happy birthday. Hello, Anthony. Michael, Anthony. I like that. I used to be a restaurant in my old crony it was called Michael Anthony's, and it was an Italian place. Anyways, I have some very sad news today. Well, depressing. It's not sad. It is sad because our guest Thomas Reed. Hello, Anthony.
Hey
He
Tony, good to
has.
see you, buddy.
He is in. Oh, what's that? Okay, we just
Anthony.
have a time traveler. No, we had. He called me, and like 2 minutes before the show started, and said, "Thank you, Anthony, for the birthday wish." He cannot be with us tonight, so he's going to be with us next week. There's a problem. He's at the UFO convention with all the big topic, people from the UFO world like Mike Barra. Thank you. I
Whoops.
am the queen. I am the queen. He is in New Mexico, Roswell, for the UFO convention, and he has a big mess up with an order. I guess he's selling something over there. And he said he's going to talk about it next week, so we'll see.
Cool.
But we're going to still talk about it because I did so much research on the Berkshire UFO incident. I am very professional. I have my notes in front of me. But before we get busy, I want to make sure you guys share this link. That goes for you, Sean. Share the link. We want to know. We only have a couple people in the audience right now on Facebook and YouTube. But remember, we are on a FM radio station. Hey, guys in New Orleans, we love you. We love you across America too on SoundCloud. So if you're listening on SoundCloud tomorrow after this is uploaded, right, Sean?
Yes, ma'am. He'll upload it in the morning, and you can hear us forever.
Yeah, he does it in New Orleans and in Henderson Point. So, but we have people listening in New Orleans right now. So, hello.
I want what you have. Send it my way.
Well, it's my birthday week.
Okay. It's not
I mean, and I had 2 cups of coffee today because my lovely daughter-in-law told me, "Oh, I like when you're drinking coffee. You have so much energy." Oh yeah, I have so much energy tonight. But I want to make sure I share this link. So, Sean, you tell us what's going on in your speck of the world.
Oh, what's going on in my speck of the world? I want to welcome Michael Anthony and my friend and Anthony to the show. Anthony says you're turning 29, but in my neck of the woods, really nothing major. It is a full moon, and
that's what it is, Sean.
yes,
It's a full moon. Why am I
it's a
acting
full
psychotic?
moon, and I have been dealing with the crazies today at work.
That's probably why I'm psychotic right now. It's a full moon.
That's okay.
Joe, baby, you're gonna come on the show with us tonight because our guest canceled on us.
There he is.
Oh,
Everybody, Joe Montaldo.
Yeah, he's the station owner.
And
Yeah,
he's the
Joe.
one and only Joe Montaldo.
We're gonna need you because our guest called an emergency off because he's having issues in Roswell. He's at the Roswell convention, and apparently they messed up his order for stuff that he was selling. I guess I don't know for sure.
When the Roswell convention? He said, "When is we in March, right?" Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
Michael, it is a huge moon. It's a
Yeah,
big moon.
he's there, and he was going to do the show tonight, but he canceled for till next week.
Uncle Tommy Reed, yeah, he's bad. He's a bad boy, man. Ooh, he's bad.
Why is he bad?
He's bad.
I want to know why.
I can't say because we're live. I can't be
Hey,
telling.
Oh,
you.
no,
Joe,
my crown
before
is
we
getting
go
hot.
on, Joe,
we already
you have to wish Jenny a happy birthday.
Happy birthday! What are you
It's
like 35 now?
It's technically not till Thursday, but
Well,
I
happy early
celebrate the
birthday.
whole week.
I do too. I celebrate the whole month, really.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, look, it's time.
Do you
man.
like my crown?
It's I can't see it out. Wait, you know what? I need to do
Oh
something
my
weird on
God!
this
What do you mean you
computer.
can't see my crown? It's gorgeous.
Oh
I have
yeah,
little,
okay. Now I
I
can
have
see it.
little
Yeah, it looks cool
gems.
now.
Although
No, I had the little live button was in front of you for a minute.
yeah, my number 5 is on.
Yeah, it was like, no, it looks cool up there.
I
You
know,
hang
it
it
is.
out. I see the backdrop looks good down there.
Oh,
That
yeah.
bites no guess. Yeah, I was just stopping by. I'll have to tell you after the show now, but I got some Roku numbers in today for it finally.
Oh,
Roku numbers.
really?
Yes,
Okay.
I can tell you this: our average listening time is 59.55 minutes. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah, that is good.
That's
That is
good. Yeah, that's above average for anybody right now. So average usually is around 33 minutes, 34 minutes. We do some pretty ones now on SoundCloud. I was a little bit higher than that. On YouTube it is too. It's about an hour and a half. But
Oh, that's good.
well, because we got interesting topics most of the time, or insane host doing something that people can't turn the thing from. They're like, wow, I can't
Yeah.
change it. You know, it's like watching the train wreck going down the highway.
Oh no.
Yes, you just got to sit there and kind of watch it and move. So wait, aren't y'all? Are we done with the chemicals? No more chemicals going to get on y'all now. We're done
Oh
with.
no, I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know
know
if
about that. That's
I'm not
still
sure.
scary. I don't trust them.
Oh, they
Well, I haven't
changed
heard
it.
anything.
Well, you know what? Our governor was in the paper today. Our governor said that Norfolk Southern is going to come up with was it 7 million or $7 billion to
Yeah,
help the
they.
people
Well,
in
they
our area.
should.
Yeah.
Well, they
They
need to do
should.
something. That place is a mess. I was talking to a reporter the other day about it, and he was saying he didn't feel comfortable. He said every time somebody would cut the grass or like around the tracks where they were pulling the stuff up, he said your eyes would start watering and stuff. He said, every time they move something around, it's getting right back in the air, right back into the ground and the water system. And I was like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't
my
know.
kids got water filtration systems because we don't know what's in the water, and you know what, they keep telling you one thing and then they change their mind. And what is with our lovely leader? Um, did
Oh,
he ever say he was going to go there or not?
no, but he was on Anderson Cooper the other night and said he has been abducted by aliens.
Michael, Mark,
I
maybe
was
you
just,
can answer this here for us there, Joe.
hmm.
Mark Jaycox has two questions. Who lands the craft at Kecksburg, PA, December 9th, 1965, and why have you never asked?
It's the
And he
Russians.
and then what UFO is the only one in history to make the USAF arm nukes on B-52s?
There's actually been more than one actually that we scrambled for now. There was a flying triangle that came through Belgium that we sent up two squadrons of F-16s for. And at first, the F-16s were being rebuffed by it. There was no way they could shoot it. None of their weapons would work. And then the thing took a hard bank and was headed straight for D.C. We actually scrambled several bombers. We actually scrambled a submarine and a few other things. But we went on nuke standby because that's the only thing we figured could take it down was a nuke. And then it just disappeared somewhere over the Atlantic, just like faded out to dust. You could watch it on the radar. They still had the radar. They're never going to give it to us, but it was like doing this weird pulse and it just fade out. And it was the first UFO I can ever remember that they clocked on UFO on radar. Because usually they don't show up on radar. They're not. It's not something that shows up on radar. Not often, anyway. It's And then of course Kecksburg. I don't know what the hell I thought Kecksburg was. It was not alien people.
No, it wasn't. It was a satellite from Russia. That's
It probably
according
was a
to
Russian
John
satellite.
Ventry.
Yeah.
He said it was a Russian
Yeah,
satellite.
and everybody I talked to in the military, everybody I talked to in the government said the same thing. No, it was a Russian satellite. He said, but Joe, we couldn't give it up. I mean, alien spacecraft. He said it was a great cover, man. He said still is a great cover, and it works. I mean, there's lots of things out there, and there's lots of UFOs that fly from so about mid Texas. You go mid Texas, you go backwards New Mexico through the middle of New Mexico, middle of Arizona, middle of Nevada, Southern California. These are all no-fly zones that the military used for lots of different things, like Area 51, bombing derbies, Area 53, Laughlin, where we have bombing derbies at, White Sands, Nevada, White Sands, and White Sands in New Mexico. So the thing of it is we have all these areas that we use for all kind of weird testing, and there's supposedly anything can fly through there as long as it's military rate related. If you see anything in those areas and it's some kind of weird looking craft, odds are it belongs to the military. There was a senator way back. God, this goes way back. Senator McDonald was driving through New Mexico and he saw a black triangle. He's an incumbent at the time. As a matter of fact, in charge of appropriations for military projects, and had no idea what. So when he contacted the organization, we wrote him back and it was basically like, "Look, dude, this is what it is." And it took him 6 months, and he verified it back to us that yes, that's what it was. This man was so pissed off that he had to go outside of the military to find out what the project was. And he was
Excuse me,
also
Joe.
surprised how many people out there, huh?
Excuse me. Booth says, how does someone call in? There's a number going along right. I don't know what the hell you call it. The ticker note, whatever.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a ticker. You got it, man. First time you got it's a ticker.
Okay.
It's a tickly ticker, man.
Okay, hold on. There's a number there. 1-724-623-2296. Give us a
Yeah,
call.
that's the number you call in. And I have says cannot be dialed. Why? I'm having an issue.
Well, it happens every Tuesday.
Y'all have only got me till Roku finishes uploading, then I got to go back to work. But
Okay, not a problem.
no, I might come back and see y'all if it gets done anyway. I'm not doing that. I'm in studio with y'all. I'm just got shit going on.
That's okay.
I love this new batch feature on this Roku thing, so I can upload a bunch of it at the same time. And since I thinned it out and took all the old stuff off there, it's just us Roku people up there.
Would you like to tell our subscribers, Joe, about how to subscribe to Roku? For us.
Well, if you have the Roku device or you have it on your computer, just go to Roku, pop on, type in UFO Paranormal Radio or United Public Radio, and it will come up.
Oh,
Usually it comes up just UFOP for me. Anywhere I type in anybody's house, I type in UFOP and it comes right up. And you can find us that way. There's also links on it. Will be on all of our Facebook pages, so they'll be going up tonight. So you can click a link and find us like that. Pretty soon, we're working on some things, some details. Michelle and I on. So some of the shows on the station are going to get their sub channel for a while. It's just an experiment we're doing, but they'll have a sub channel. So like, y'all will be in the variety, and then somewhere down the list it'll say Chasing Prophecy with just your videos in it.
Okay.
And nobody else's. So it's just something we're trying out, playing with, seeing how it works, because the variety works great, and the paranormal and the YAP and the UFO thing works great, but it's nice to have the shows separate too. It also tells me what they're listening to, what they prefer to listen to, whose lovely face like Sean's they want to hear and stuff like that. Sean was voted cutest face on the network, Jenny. We're all in trouble. I was like, really?
I'm it, man.
I was like, who the hell put this vote up, man? I was like, this is not working for me. So I'm gonna take this poll down and see what's going on. Yeah, you noticed it said cutest face. It was not male or female, just cutest face on the network.
Yeah. Okay, Mark J. Cox has a question. October 7th, well, he wants to say something. October 73, a 500-mile long UFO appears over the USA-Canada border.
Give me a second.
And I am.
And we got it. Excuse me, Sean. We have a caller.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, my name's Morgana. I'm actually from the year 1776. Now, I'm here to warn you. But a lot of bad stuff is going to be happening.
Where?
A lot of bad stuff.
What year are you from?
So I'm from America.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm actually from 2076, not 1776. Sorry, getting my years mixed up because I have really bad amnesia. I'm here to warn you that a lot of bad things are about to happen to the world. So Russia is going to continue their advancement. They're going to take over Ukraine. There's nothing we can do about that, and no amount of money is going to stop that. And then China, those balloons. Those balloons were filled with dangerous chemicals.
What kind of chemicals?
So I don't know the exact name of the chemicals exactly, like the scientific name, but they're going to turn a lot of people into zombies. I know it sounds crazy. But it's something that could have been prevented, but it's too late now. It already happened. I think the best bet. There's a certain supplement you can take. It's called quercetin, and it'll prevent you from being exposed to these chemicals. Soon enough, the U.S. government's going to ban it. Suggest that you stock up now.
So, how do you time travel?
So I have a pod. So I go into a pod. It's actually something that was developed into the year 2030. So it's actually going to be developed soon using, AI. And yeah, it's a machine. It's a machine that's built by Balma.
Obama.
No, not Obama.
I was gonna
Balma.
say.
Balma. So what it does is it creates a new timeline that branches off from its original timeline. It's like consider it like a plane. It's almost like an airplane, but it uses up a lot of coronal energy. It can carry only enough power for 2 trips at a time. So I'm gonna have to go back within the next couple of days here. But basically, it's almost like a turbine that goes through multiple laws of universes.
Okay, we one of the comments wants to know how fast your thought speed is. How fast is your thought speed? And I'm not sure what that means.
My thought speed.
Mhm.
So I'm faster than the speed of light. Coronal energy it goes so quickly that you can't even see it. You can't even feel it.
Are you?
Wow.
You're not the same. You're not this. Are you the same time traveler I was talking to on TikTok by any chance?
That was me. Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so how often do you do this time traveling?
I can only do it. I can only do one trip there and one trip back. Right.
Why is that? Why is that? If you have any questions in the chat for this time traveler, do you have a Mark K Cox in chat wants to know prove it. Can you prove that you're a time traveler?
Can I prove it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can show my pod. I can post a screenshot, but it could be dangerous because
you're making my crown shake.
Yeah, the government might, like they come after me if I reveal too much. I don't want to be doxxed.
No, why did they? How did you become a time traveler? What are you, some kind of a special agent? Are you a really high IQ? Do you do some kind of physics work for a living? Any kind of engineer?
Well, like my mother, her name is Balma. She designed the concept behind time travel. So she works for a corporation that can create these time machines.
Sean, what do you think?
I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Please, I'm not making fun of you, dude, but I finally got used to UFOs and aliens, and now we're into time traveling. So I'm speechless, Jenny. Just keep going asking because you
Okay,
know more about this than me.
Mark on chat said 8815 and 112315 teleport thought and changed live TV because we thought speed of light speed until you change live TV. You're a liar. What the heck does that mean? He's calling you a liar. I think that's what this.
Mark J. Cox.
Why do you think he's a liar? I think I've had so many people on this show, and I actually corresponded years ago on Skype. Would you remember that, Sean, about the guy
Yes.
that wanted to be on the show? He was a time traveler.
Oh my God! Yeah, never shut up.
He sent us all kind of, oh my God, this material that I had no idea what it was. It was all physics and a lot of numbers.
Yeah. So what I use is a microchip, microchip that can store my biological data and transform myself through time.
Whoa.
That's how it's done.
So actually, they take you give blood and you send it in this pod and you go somewhere with it?
It's a microchip.
Microchip?
Where's the microchip at?
So right now I'm basically a microchip.
Oh, you are a microchip.
Yes.
I don't know, Mark. Time travel begins like this. 10,000. Was this, what the heck?
10 billion.
10 million feel that? You just moved eternity. You moved it from thought to sight and time travel. Well, I don't know because I think there's portals, but so you're not using a portal, you're using a device.
Yes.
And what's the shape of the device?
It's oval shaped.
And does it have any kind of mechanical parts on the outside, or is it like a sphere?
It's a sphere.
There's no void. There's no void, no universe. So everyone's saying there's a universe is not a time traveler. Oh, that was 10
What
trillion.
is on your pod? What is the material used
The material of
of the pod? Yeah.
I mean it's basically made out of fiber.
Okay. So, do you know what kind of fiber? I mean, because if you're
Is it a
traveling,
soluble fiber? What kind of fiber is it?
I mean, seriously, so you can go into different dimensions without
But
burning
you
up.
don't have what?
We don't have steel. We ran out of steel. We ran out of oil.
Okay, so the year that you live in, there's no steel, there's no oil.
Yes. We ran out of it.
And what is it? Is it sort of like on a like an apocalyptic
Yes.
city? I mean, what's
Yeah.
no,
Well, can you tell us some other stuff that's going to happen in the future?
Nuclear holocaust happened in my timeline.
you're making my crown crooked. So what did you say, Sean?
I want to know what other bad issues are going to be coming up pretty soon. Everyone's talking about the year 2030. What have you been to 2030?
Just wait until the androids start coming in. I mean, if you thought ChatGPT was scary, wait till you see some of these androids that Russia and China have been working on.
If they're working on it, right, then I'm sure we are.
What is what is
Oh,
he saying?
my cousin said, "Who wins the next Super Bowl?"
The next Super Bowl,
Yeah.
there probably won't be another Super Bowl. To be honest with you.
Oh, that's not good. You hear that, Sean?
No, that's not good at all.
Okay, what's
Mm.
happening? What's the like okay, so you left how so when was the last time you time traveled?
Well, realistically, just today actually.
Okay, do you have any kind of physical problems or how do you feel when you come back? Are you weak?
No, it's pretty much business as usual.
And have you ever felt like you were stuck in a different time that you couldn't get back?
No, I perfected it. So that happened at first in the beta trials, but now everything's good to go.
No, do you go by yourself?
Yeah, good
Yeah.
question.
You do go by yourself? Does anybody else know that you're a time traveler? Do you tell anybody or is this just something anonymous?
No, if I did, I'd probably be either killed or taken hostage.
Hmm. I don't know, Sean.
I
There
don't know either. Booth says I heard there are some scientists creating a bio android by Dr. Jiro. Do you
who's
know
that?
who Dr. Jiro is? Time traveler.
Yes, so Dr. Jiro works for Pfizer, and yeah,
Pfizer,
creates.
of course.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, it's a different Pfizer than what you're thinking of.
No, time traveler. Do you have a wife?
It starts with a B O, not Biozer. It's pronounced differently. Pfizer, not Pfizer.
Pfizer, not Pfizer.
Yes,
Okay.
bio, So they create androids.
Okay. Now, my question is now when you time travel, Do you have friends in these years, or are
That's
you
a good
by
one.
yourself?
I mean, I try to make some friends. It's not like my objective is not to make friends, but I mean, we can be friends.
Okay, now Boots comes back and says the android I heard can regeneration and absorb energy. Is that true?
Yes, yes, it is true. They can absorb your energy. They can basically take control of all of your cells and make them one with their own. It's actually kind of scary, but cool.
Mhm.
And Mark says, how many senses does the time traveler have now? Because I have proved that time tunes the body.
Um, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like I've lost my sense of hearing a little bit. It's hard for me to hear sometimes because as you imagine, being stuck in that little pod can really be restrictive.
How big is the pod?
It's pretty big. It's about I want to say maybe 30 feet.
Did you ever hear the time traveler who calls himself Noah?
No.
He claims he was stuck in our time after being sent here from the future, and he's stuck here. Are you worried that you're going to be stuck in a different time?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one chance to go back, and if it doesn't work, then I'd be stuck here
Okay,
forever.
Boots wanted me to ask you a question. If there is there a planet called Namak, Namak, and who lives there?
Yeah, there is. So they're basically like aliens, like the way that you think of aliens. Yeah, they're green. They have scarce resources, um, and they have a great sense of pride in being, but um, they're very persecuted population once humans find out about them.
So when you travel in the future, there are a lot of android robots or AIs everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Well, you're being called a liar. Um, Now, Mark, if you want, we can give you a link and you can get on the conversation with him. You can come on StreamYards. I can't have two phone calls going at once. I don't think that the system's going to let me do that. But if you want, we can post a link to the show and you can debate this time traveler. So I'm going to go ahead and put copy and paste the link into the chat. Anybody else who wants to come on and debate Mr. Time Traveler? Do you have a name, Time Traveler?
Morgana.
Morgana. If anybody wants to debate Morgana, just hit the link. You don't have to do video. You can just do the audio. Right, Sean?
Yep, just do the audio.
I mean, I think it's a good conversation because there's a lot of people that actually believe they are from a different time. Now, I had an issue a couple years ago, huh, Sean, where I thought I time traveled. Do you remember that? Was it
Yeah,
with
I do.
Beacon
Beacon of light. We were
Beacon
on.
of Light? Um, I thought it was a certain time. The time hadn't changed yet, and I lost an hour, and I
Yeah,
don't
I
know where
remember.
I went.
Yeah, she did lose an hour. Like, where'd he
So
go?
time tunes the body, and he has no senses. So you're saying that what was her name again?
Mark.
Morgana.
Morgana doesn't have any senses? Come on, Mark, hit the link and join us, and you can debate with him because he
He's
can't hear you.
because he's not debating a liar. Time. Yeah. I. It's interesting. I want to know more about this Morgana or Morgana.
Morgana.
Okay,
Morgana.
please tell me some more. Like, Is there sports? Is there food? Is there gambling?
No, I mean, like the entertainment's completely different now.
What is it?
It's all within your mind. Like you have basically no sense of being, no sense of self. I mean, I was able to avoid it just because the connections that I have. But for pretty much everyone else, they have no self of being. I know that sounds scary, but that's how it is.
No sense of being.
Well, they don't need entertainment. They have no. They're no. They aren't essentially people anymore.
They're more like AIs.
Yes.
And
With
that would be boring. Is it boring when you go to these places?
Yes. That's why I wanted to time travel. Because it's not very exciting.
So that's you find time travel as a sense of entertainment.
Yes.
Can you eat and do you still do the normal things?
Yeah, I can still eat. I mean, yeah.
So you're from 2030.
Well, no, I'm from 2076.
Okay, so where are you calling from? You're from 2023?
Yes.
So where are you at right now?
I can't tell you that.
Well, okay, so are you what kind of device are you using? Because your cell phones are probably they're probably different than our phones. Like, how are you calling me? How are you calling the station?
Well, I created an account like everyone else would, like like a social media account. Like I know how to do that. I mean, like I learned very quickly. I'm very intelligent.
Oh, I'm not debating that. I just was curious. Okay, what is this? Mark said, K. Cox said, watch Barrett Jackson Reno 8815 when the bid on the last Michigan bodied 427 Corvette is at 185,000. As an Agent Smith, he announces making him say I 200,000. I have no idea what you just said, Mark. No, I'm not trying to be ignorant. I don't understand what you said. Why don't you come on and explain yourself? Barrett Jackson has not televised every bid since.
I'm confused.
I am confused too, Mark.
But so is there these AIs in 2076? Are they married? Do they have children? Do they just walk around and dressed in white? Tell us stuff.
Yeah, well, there's really no need for them to be, married. I mean, that concept really doesn't exist where I'm from, but they have no gender. Actually, they're just basic computer programs.
Okay, so they're not human beings. They're just mechanical. No. They're just so the human race is no longer in existence.
Well, there's some like
Get him off. Get him off.
I'm not a stupid broad. And
You know what, Mark?
Broad. I'm gonna have to ban you from ever being on here,
his
Mark.
ass right now. Ban him.
Broad.
Don't you ever call my friend a stupid broad? I don't give a shit who you are. Fire me, whatever.
You're blocked, Mr. User. I'm a stupid broad. Not broad. When was that word used before? Broad.
I don't know.
It sounds like he's illiterate. Okay? Illiterate.
Okay, Michael Anthony has something. He's Michael. He's my bud. He said he studied the future outcomes. There is no sex. Cyborgs with human downloads.
Oh.
What do you think of that, there, Mr. Morgana?
Morgana?
There's. I apologize. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
Cyborgs with human downloads. Huh. It's already been done.
Yeah, my name Is Morgana?
Morgana, not Morgana.
You know what, dude? And I apologize for that, but I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we do have a different dialect than everybody else. So you have to forgive me on that. I'm very sorry.
Okay, okay. You're welcome. I meant no offense. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. I feel bad now.
No, it's okay.
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 You look like an actress with your mind. What's a...
What's that there, Mike?
I don't
Name?
understand, Michael.
Anthony says, I think being so smart, he shouldn't worry about the government finding him and give him real information. And what we're saying to you, Morgana, is what people are saying in the chats. Okay. Okay. Michael Anthony says, clarity for you, you can look like anybody, but have your mind. I can understand that. I can look like you, Jenny, and I'll have my own mind, not yours.
I'm not really sure about that, John.
Well, I'm just saying, that's how I'm picking up what Michael's saying. What are there any other, when you go time traveling, okay, are there other time travelers there with you, or do you just like by yourself?
There's a couple of others like myself. We're essentially a part of a faction.
Okay. What else? A faction of what?
Transphobias are gone and livable. Transphobias? You mean like transgender people? I don't know.
So do you guys, now I'm not being smart when I say this, but do you all have your own club with all the time travelers involved with this?
Probably.
After this android conflict, we had to create our own alternate timeline, one where we could save the planet, or so we thought. We're part of an android anti-android coalition, AAC.
I was just listening to your conversation about a pencil, something. Pencil. Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Do you know we're dealing with some AUPs and UFOs lately? Is there anything in the future that would bring any kind of closure to any of that? I mean, are we seeing any in the future? Is there alien life? Are we communicating with alien life?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a lot of different planets that have sentient beings on there that aren't, human, essentially. Some of which actually humans actually enslave, and it actually results partially in what happens in my timeline with the androids.
So what? So you go travel back in time because you're bored, because there's no entertainment in the future.
Partially, I mean, the rest of my I'm a little bit of I'm going against the mission, so to speak. I really could care. I don't really care about the future of the timeline that I'm from, but some others, they do. They're trying to save that alternate timeline and create something new. I'm not, though. I don't care.
One of our listeners, yeah, Kevin, he's from England. He says, I feel there's no physical time travel for us, only in the mind. Sometimes we trip forward, sometimes we trip backward and see things. But I seriously doubt that's possible to do it in the body.
Hello? Is he still there?
Hello?
Oh, you still there? Thought maybe you
I'm,
decided to time travel. So do you call this like quantum leaping? Or is this just something that you get in your pod, like you're going down to the grocery store, and you do you have a specific time, or does this just happen? You go wherever your device takes you, your little
when traveling
pod.
back in time, okay, so you can't really travel forward. That's impossible as far as I know. What my time machine actually creates a new timeline that branches off from its original one at the moment in time where my time machine arrives. It's not necessarily possible to change the past in the sense that one's present will change, but any change that's done in that past will be reflected in a new timeline.
So you can only travel back in time. You can't go
Yeah.
forward in time.
So when I go back to the future, the Dead's time machine will actually go back to my original timeline. So there's nothing that I can actually change in my timeline. Some people think that they can, but I know it's impossible.
It's impossible to change time. You can't interfere with.
Well, I cannot change my timeline, but I can change your timeline.
Oh. Hmm.
Okay, I'm retiring in 7 years, dude. Make my time go fast. That was a joke. That was a joke. Michael Anthony says, What's Project Looking Glass? There is no forward yet, only the present.
Yeah, I mean,
Have you ever heard of Project Looking Glass?
unfortunately, no. Um, yeah, I have not heard of that.
Hmm. I don't know.
I don't
Any
know.
m- any more questions for this time traveler before I let him go on his way into the universe? No questions for him?
No, no. But thank you for being
Why
on.
don't you come back when you're back in this time? Why don't you actually come on the show next time? I'm like
Okay,
as a guest. I don't know how you can you do that?
I'll figure out a way.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How do I shut? Okay.
People, please give us a minute to. I, I'm seriously, like I told before, that I'm just getting used to aliens and UFOs, and then a real time traveler comes on the show, and it just blew me away. So, I mean, if I knew I was going to be prepared for this guy coming on, um, maybe I'd have some more questions on it. Kevin,
I wasn't prepared for no time traveler questions.
Doctor Who. Okay, I see where you're getting at. I see what he's getting at.
Well, I mean, we've seen so many TikTok videos who time travelers. We discussed this before many a times, and like that one we saw, Sean, where the he never saw people. He only saw
Yeah,
because he can't interact with the people.
yeah, he was in a different city, and all he took was video. And the cars were still there, the buildings were still there, coffee was on the table. And even to this day, Jen, I don't care how long it took him, but I have a feeling that he photoshopped all those, taking all the people out of that. I know it takes a long time to do that, but I have a feeling he did that, or else he just has one hellacious green screen. You know what I mean? Anthony says we are going into the forest next weekend. We might meet him when we cross over. That's
I have
true,
to
Tony.
find it.
That's a
I was
story.
so lost.
No, 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 no,
Maybe I'm
Jen.
gonna take a powder right
Honest to God,
now.
Anthony has a good story. He was a
One, two,
guest on my
three,
show, and we got to get him on the show. Talk about the forest. It's pretty interesting. You there? Uh-oh, she lost. I don't know. Oh my God. Get him off. Mark, why? Why you come on? Okay, he got on somehow again. So I guess then he got called off or something like that. Um, so we were supposed to have uh, Tom, oh, I forget his name, and about a small little situation they had in 1960. Thomas Reed supposed to be on the show today, but he had some troubles getting on. But he will be on next week. Um,
Can you hear me?
so now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Mark K. Cox is back in. How do you get back in? He's going to
Um,
he's going to
you,
take a would you take a shotgun out of your purse and blow my head off? No, I would never do that, Mark. I think
okay, everybody. Kevin, Brian, Michael, I want you to hear this. This Mark J. Cox says, if we were in the schoolyard and I called you a stupid broad, would you take a shotgun out of your purse and blow my head off?
probably
Get
not.
him the hell
I
out of here.
did block him. He's back. I can't help it. He came back. I don't know how he must have a different. I did block him. Mark, if
Miss-
you want to stay on, you have to apologize. I will block you again.
But this Thomas Reed, that we were supposed to have on today, there was a show. What was it called
Um,
on Netflix? Um, it was a good
unsolved
show,
all unsolved mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries. And when I watched it, it was only 29 minutes long, and it was like really, really interesting. Um, how not just him being, adopted, but there's a ton of other people, like 40
Yeah.
other people, and there was this
Yeah.
John and
On September 1st, 1969, about 40 people in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, reported seeing a UFO. And one boy, who was going to be on the show, was Thomas Reed. And he claimed he and his family were taken aboard. I don't know if anybody had a chance to do any research on that before the show, but 40 residents in that little town of Berkshire, it was a very small town that they reported seeing a UFO. And it
yeah.
actually reached beyond the area, which is, I found that
But
fascinating.
I
And
did do a little studying on that. I want to bring my, I did research for the hell of it. You know what I mean? So
what did you,
uh,
I mean,
there's a big, massive lake, okay, that is close to the places where the UFO landed, okay. And because when I was looking at that show, I'm thinking, where's the body of water? Sure, you got the ocean,
mhm.
but this gigantic lake, it begins with the letter Q, I forget. And all the three towns that this spaceship landed, um, there was this big lake. So I have a feeling that it could have been an underwater base that was sitting in that lake, and there's probably one now.
Yeah, and they said, so it reached beyond, so not only did it happen to 40 different people, but it actually went beyond the town that people said they saw. And according to the Netflix series, um, they don't know what happened. I mean, all the people that it happened to, including Tom Reed, that it changed their life. Now they don't know exactly what it was, but they all saw a light, a disc shaped craft that it kind of did different maneuvers in the sky, like going circles up, like a sort of what the TikToks did. Not TikTok, Tic Tac.
But what I want to ask Tom Reed next week is he has a quote. It's whatever you do, don't call it an abduction. I
That's
don't
what
know
I
what.
don't understand. What is he? Because he doesn't know if he was taken. He doesn't have any memory of it.
Right. So, but you also got, like, as I was continuing my research, there's like three different military bases around that lake.
Good research,
So,
John.
thanks. So it's like it's probably there in mass, just like they are over there in many never know. It's true, Mike. Many never know. But
But they all said they lost track of time. They don't know what happened. They all claim they have never been the same since. They don't know how long exactly the phenomena lasted. They don't know how long that they were like out of it. I know in the documentary, Tom said that he and his family ended up at their family store. So they went through
and
the tunnel. I have actually pictures of the tunnel.
and actually, what happened was what made it legit for him was his grandmother was in the driver's seat and his mom was in the
Yeah, that's
passenger
what
seat.
really that was neat. That was neat. I thought that was because that's I have never heard that from any other abductions. Well, abductees, or he doesn't really want to call it that. But no, here's a that is the tunnel that their car went through, and then I guess it happened like outside the tunnel. Was it inside the tunnel?
It was outside.
Uh,
Yeah, they did, Brian. They didn't switch it. They when they came back, right? They the grandma was in the driver's seat and the mom was in the passengers. They didn't switch it.
and that's the site well the one fella saw where they saw the UFO.
But what about the right? Okay, he saw it. That's my cuz. He saw it. But with the woman's story where she was supposed to not go to the lake for ice cream, but she ended up going with her parents, and her life changed. Okay, because she said she was abducted. Um, she said when she was inside the UFO, all she could see was like steel walls around her, and that was about it. And then, but you can look at these people and just look how they're interviewed and their persona
Well,
is like real.
according to the WSPS, the radio station said they don't know they didn't call it a UFO. They just didn't know what it was, but they said it was something bizarre. And the fact that they did they talked to the police department and there was no reports of any no one called in saying there was any kind of UFO, which I
No,
thought
and
was kind of odd because Kecksburg, everybody called in, they thought it was a UFO.
well, I'll tell
Everybody
you
called in.
the story
It
on
was about
that.
the same time, wasn't it, Sean?
Yeah, but on um, Kecksburg and this thing, no.
Well, wasn't Kecksburg 67 and this was 69? That was about
Uh,
it was in the 60s.
yeah, it was in the 60s. That's right. My bad. But what I'm saying is the cop who was on duty getting all these phone calls thought it was a big joke and he never took a
Is that
report
he
from,
was it he
yeah,
thought it was a joke. Well,
yeah. So, but they put that monument out there in the
yeah, I have a picture. They made a monument and
that's
there's
the
a
monument, but and they had to take that monument down because it's so called on public property,
oh my god.
and there was like the Hatfield and McCoy situation. Some believed, it happened, but there's a lot of people that didn't believe, and they really didn't like that stone. So they kind of like got together and they all voted like in their town meetings or whatever, and then they got it removed, which I think is a bunch of horse crap myself.
Uh, I just think it's crazy how they just threw this under the like no one they can't even find any newspaper articles on it.
No,
So Reed said it rose up a little bit. It looked like it followed the dirt road, which I had that picture of I think it's the dirt road over here. Followed the dirt road, or it didn't. It appeared that way because you could see through the trees. The light started to bleed through once they broke into a little bit of clearing. So I guess when they went through the clearing, the lights dissipated. They said they could see inside the car, so the light was flooding inside. So the light filled up the car. That's a strong light. So whatever it was, like a spotlight, but it filled the whole car. And she said it was like an amber glow. It emerged on both sides of the road. And Reed recalled being taken to a hangar-like area that was bigger than a football field. So, well, I don't know why he says he wasn't abducted. He was taken to a football-sized field. I mean, with
Maybe,
craft.
maybe what I think is that if to him or other people, now I can't speak for him, we'll find out next week,
Yeah.
but maybe if I was abducted, um, I wouldn't want that word classified to me, okay, that I was abducted. I wouldn't like that.
He said the lights were like fluorescent tubing inside the hangar. The hallway he saw was a singular with a Y configuration almost to control the flow of traffic. So there must have been a lot of activity going inside this whatever it was. He said he had no idea where he was, but he knew what he saw was very different than anything else he'd ever seen in 50 years, 50 years later.
Michael says maybe they're like bends. That's
Bends.
can you
You
explain
mean like
that?
the bends? You mean like when you go real deep in the water? Is that what you're talking about,
That's
the bends?
possible. Yeah, I think so. But what would you do in the situation if you were driving there with Ava in your car, and all of a sudden you see this big old thing come at you? What would you do, John?
I don't know. Part of me would like to welcome it, but I think a part of me is going to be terrified if I saw something like that. Like, oh my God, what is that? And you knew that you were going to be taken away from your wherever you were. That's why I think when I hear stories like this, I mean, I would be terrified. And you hear all these abductees that they aren't terrified. There's like, oh, it's so peaceful and calm. And then you hear those stories, or you watch like Fire in the Sky with Travis Walton. I know that was a fictional depiction of it, but I mean, I know they did that for entertainment, but that was horrifying. Did you watch that, Sean? Did
Y-
you ever watch Fire in the Sky?
Yes,
It
yes,
was
I
it
did.
was terrifying.
Not only when he was in the cocoon, coming out of the cocoon, was it terrifying, but I found it pretty interesting. Michael Anthony says we've seen light can bend. It doesn't seem like it's possible, but if you look at some of the experiments, even on the Skinwalker Ranch, it's proven. Okay, that's might have to do some watching that. Is that show still on Skinwalker Ranch, or did they take that off, Jen?
No, it's all over the place.
Is it
I
still
mean,
on?
yeah, it's on Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime. But we get back to these encounters. I mean, we got Roswell, 1947, and
Right.
then September 1969 in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, with the Berkshire with incident. Then you have, I know Kexpert has been ruled that it's not a UFO. Then you have the Colorado lights, the Phoenix lights. You have the UFOs over Washington in the 50s. You have all these tic tacs all over the place. No one's saying anything. No one's coming clean. They don't care. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be known. I think if there's UFOs out there and they want to abduct us for their, I truly am at the point where I don't know if I believe that they are really extraterrestrials. I think they're the government in disguise. We talked about this hundreds and hundreds of times before on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes all back, and you want to
But
believe, like
right,
Mulder and Scully, you want to believe that there
right.
are, but it seems like it's
But
like
here
there's nothing else out there.
I got some interesting fact during my research.
Hmm.
The first reported UFO sighting was in 1639 by the Massachusetts Bay Governor John Winthrop over Boston. So I don't think our government had the capabilities um, to do that back then in
Yeah,
1639.
no, yeah, there's all these paintings that depict. You can see them in these beautiful. What do you call it, Renaissance paintings. There's UFOs.
Michael Anthony says, while Pittsburgh still remains questionable, nobody really proved anything beyond the shadow of
You
a
talking
doubt.
about Kicksburg?
Kecksburg? Yeah, I bet you that is
Okay.
it. He's talking about Kecksburg, everybody. While Kecksburg still remains questionable, nobody really proved anything beyond the shadow of a doubt. It's theory, and I appreciate John and others' work, but the bait is good, and the name Clifford Stone says a lot.
So you're falling under the same assumption that they are, like Stan Gordon thinks they truly are UFOs.
Uh, he also says 1492 and the memoirs from Christopher Columbus, seeing them over the water, addresses them as lights entering waters. And Michael said yes to your question, Jen.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, going back to Kecksburg, I don't know, but there's picture. I'm going to show you some of these pictures that are in. These are paintings. Oh my God, this one was. I can't really see the date on it. I don't. I don't think it's. These are Renaissance. These like six, like you were saying. There's paintings that are like 1600s. I'm taking it right now. I don't know.
But now you have the Barney and Betty Hill. That was in New
Yeah,
Hampshire. That was in 1961. Cynthia Hubert, 1808. She was a teacher in Maine, but she was from Massachusetts. Okay. 1965, Exeter. I don't. I wonder if that's a town. I'm not sure, but that was in New Hampshire. What just seems like, doing my research and I was looking. There's a lot of UFO activity that's not in the boss, that area, the New England area. But in all our shows that we've had, we have never had anybody talk about the New England states. It's all out in Arizona. You see what I mean?
hmm
He says, and Michael says, it's hard to write. I'm on my cell phone. Sorry for mistakes. Brian says, wasn't there an eyewitness accounts to Kecksburg?
Oh, there was tons of eyewitnesses. There was tons of them, but they come to the conclusion, like John Ventry said, that there's these symbols on the craft or this cone or acorn type shape that were Russian codes for I guess the satellite. I'm not sure for what
Yeah,
exactly it
Brian, it
was.
was it was put on the flatbed and it was covered by a tarp. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you look at that and all they found was like different designs or whatever hieroglyphics around it. How in the hell could it have been a freaking Russian spy satellite? Okay.
because it was during the Cold War, and that's why they thought it was that.
Well, what year did the Cold War start?
I don't know. Come on, guys, I did very good in history.
But that I'm just saying. But getting back to the New England states, how come we never heard anything
Because they
about?
don't, I know there isn't really anything over here because I think because the land there is so open, you got the deserts and like deserts, New Mexico, Arizona. That's probably why they have all
Oh,
the open plains. Like in what was it, Colorado, there was a sighting at St. Mary's. It's a hot spot.
do you,
SD Park, it's a hot spot.
but check this out, right? Check this out. Do you know Pennsylvania is in the top 10 of the states that have UFO activity? They're number
Well,
seven.
according to MUFON, yeah.
They're number seven. Then I looked up the top 10 for cryptids because everybody's. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Cold War began 1945 after World War II. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. But it's just like then I looked up because everyone says everything up there on Chestnut Hill. um, up on Chestnut Hill, there's a lot of cryptids up there, but Pennsylvania didn't make um, they didn't make it to the top 10. Michael says, I agree to disagree because they are quite seen over power lines. Yes, we are. Yeah, he was talking about being ranked seventh. But don't
Mhm.
you think Carnation deserves a little commercial?
Oh yeah, sorry about that, Carnation. Thank you so much for sponsoring the second hour of Chasing Prophecy Radio on FM 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans. Carnation's Essentials Protein is a delicious breakfast drink, and you can also use Carnation evaporated milk to make your holiday treats. Easter's coming up. You can have a delicious truffle with your Easter
Brownies.
desserts. Yes. Thank you,
Brownies.
Carnation, for
Thank you,
sponsoring this hour.
Carnation. Michael says sightings also become more prevalent during war activities.
I wonder why that is.
Well, you figure all the mass destruction. Now, if you want to, all the stuff going on, this just popped into my head. They're probably checking out how many are being killed, who's being killed,
Hmm.
stuff like that, like taking numbers, on what's going on. Um, but it's just fascinating. And see, when you tell me to research shit, all right, I really get into it, Jenny.
Well, you really researched, I have to
I
say, though.
do, and I'm not done yet because I'm still fixated on the New England states. You
There
know,
you go.
maybe we
That
can get a little bit from Tom next week about, but it was fascinating where that big lake was at. There's three or four military bases around that lake, and three or four of the towns near that lake is where the UFO landed or was seen.
yeah, Massachusetts, that's very, like you said, very unusual for UFO sighting because, like, most of them are out Colorado. There's the one in Louis Valley. I think there was like that was in the year 2000. So many people saw that one. I mean, I hardly, like you said, I have never heard of any UFO sightings this way.
Mm-mm.
We've never had one out this way, but like Roswell's a really big hot. Texas is a hot spot for UFOs. Maryland is too. There's some in Maryland and Illinois, California. I think according to the statistics I'm looking at right now, Idaho there was 164 sightings in the last 5 years. Montana, there was 98. New Hampshire. Do you believe yeah, New
Yeah,
Hampshire had 107.
yeah,
Maine had 97.
right. And
There's a
I'm
whole list of them.
South Carolina on it. That's where my cousin's from, Brian. He's from South Carolina.
Yeah, let me see. There's a whole mess of them over here. I'm going
So
to the
it's just unless since Massachusetts is like
the most of them are is Idaho, Montana, New Hampshire, Vermont, Wyoming, and Washington and Connecticut have the most UFO sightings.
well, look at all those damn states that you just mentioned there, except for Washington, right?
And the
They're all in the
fewest
New England states.
and the fewest is Texas, Louisiana, New York, Maryland, Illinois, California, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and North Carolina. Those are the ones who have the least.
I believe there's more water. And it's just proven a little bit of theory for me
Well,
that
what's in Idaho? Potatoes? I mean, because they're the ones with the most.
from the underground
Number one
bases,
is Idaho.
the underground bases up there. Well, everyone's fixated around um, Roswell and that area around there. But on the missing 411, wasn't there a couple people missing from Idaho?
I
Wasn't
don't know.
there a hunter with
Yeah, there
like,
was.
okay,
There's none. They don't even mention Pennsylvania at all. And there's none in New Orleans, which is kind of strange. You think with all the
swamps?
paranormal stuff
Oh,
that
yeah.
would have.
Right. So
There's not one in here in New Orleans. That's weird.
it's just amazing. I just think the East Coast got the majority of all the UFO sightings, and the most of them are probably around surrounded by a whole bunch of water. Okay, so I do believe now underground water bases exist, and I finally went over the line. Like,
Then there's caves that are associated with UFOs, and
look how many
there's
caves.
10 caves in America that are hot spots for UFO activity. There's the hidden people of Skull, Iceland.
Well, that's
So
a
what
good
would be in Iceland that would,
water.
yeah. Then there's Glastonbury Mountain, Vermont, and I don't see if there's no
If I'm
water.
not mistaken, Vermont's close to the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, I want to see if there's large bodies of water.
But
Between 1945 and 1956, people separate on separate occasions would disappear without a trace.
mhm. But why do they keep them? Why do they keep people and not bring them back? Is their blood good, or
Well,
they
I
see
don't know.
something?
It goes back to Bigfoot sightings that are also associated with UFO hotspots. Now, Bigfoot, is he carnivorous? Does he like human flesh? I don't know. Does he just prefer vegetation? I don't. This would explain why they disappear.
But think about it too,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, so Bigfoot does. A lot of people say, and I believe that it's part. They working with the UFOs. But if you look at all the black holes out there, all the portals that there are, maybe they went into another dimension. Maybe Bigfoot
Maybe they
went into
did.
another dimension and did not go back to the dimension where the UFO's been.
And then they have the alien ships and cave systems of Antarctica. They believe that there's alien ships in Antarctica.
And that goes
But
back to the
you can't
treaty that
yeah, it goes back to the treaty. You can't even go there because there's that treaty. Didn't they revoke the treaty recently? What did they do?
I don't know.
One of our guests was talking about that.
Michael, did they get rid of that treaty, or is it still on, brother? Um, but yeah, so they signed a treaty, no one could go visit it, and maybe it's because of low water or whatever they're saying right now. But I like the idea where they have UFOs in all these caves.
And in the summer of 2017, while attending an Enlightenment Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence conference in the state of Washington, several UFO enthusiasts claim they have seen a large opening near the top of Mount Adams.
Wow,
So they said that they think that the UFOs are going into the mountainside, and they're convinced that it's an alien base.
it's very possible. And I'll be honest with you, Washington State scares the crap out of me because that's all woods out there, man.
And this is where a lot of people are missing. David Politis has a lot of shows on that area are missing people, um, hunters, loggers.
Kevin says, true, Bigfoot and UFOs are sighted within the same area. But that doesn't mean, Kevin, I believe that the Bigfoot does go back with the, the dimension where the UFO was. It could possibly go to another portal or whatever you want to call them and go to another plane. It's just I watch all these Bigfoot shows, and it's like people see them, right? And then all of a sudden they're gone, just like
Hmm.
like a drop of a hat. Now you can
I
also go ahead. I'm sorry,
I was just going to say the United Kingdom is a real hot spot too for UFOs.
and that's Kevin right here. Kevin says, I think we need to explore that link. Ah, that'll give me some. You know what, Kevin? Thank you for saying that because I'll do some research on that. You know, um, because there are tons of portals out there that things can go through. The dog
Kevin,
man.
have you heard of the Broadhaven school incident? Several school children reported seeing a disc-shaped craft landing in a field near a school, and there was humanoid figures that had stepped out from the craft for several minutes before climbing back aboard. And this was in the UK. It's kind of, I don't know. What would how do we know that these humanoid figures, that especially children, see?
He says he has. He's have heard of it.
And then there's the one at these the mountains in Arizona was a popular spot for hikers. They said that they saw reptilian humanoid creatures that were about to abduct people.
Well, then
How do we
again,
know? How do we know people? I'd like to see. I know I'm not trying to be disrespectful for people who have some kind of psychological problem or mental health. Like, how do we know most of these people don't have some kind of mental health issue that they're seeing these things? Like, how can we like, oh, I saw this reptilian figure come out of a disc that landed in the desert. No, first of all, you're in the desert. Were you dehydrated before you saw these things? Did you have enough fluids? I'm being a skeptic because some of these stories are so outlandish. Like the one, it's like a beastly creature that looks like a cross between a snake and a frog.
I never saw that one yet.
No, I'm just saying these people. This like I'm looking at this research. A desert in Arizona, the Superstition Mountains, they call it the
Yeah,
Superstition Mountains
that's
in Arizona. Now these people saw reptilian creatures that get out of a disc shape. No, you're in a desert. Are you dehydrated? Are you seeing these creatures? Do you need fluids? Are you is your mental state um corrupted? You know what I'm saying? How do you know that these people aren't just nuts or have a medical issue?
well, I with mental health here that I have.
But did you see little green men?
Well, if I did see Little Green Man, I would say something. If I saw the frog people, I'd have to blink my eyes a couple times.
Well,
And
I'm saying I'm not like so I'm trying not to be disrespectful, but how do you know these people don't need medical attention that are seeing these things?
your mind wanders. Then, when you go on a ghost investigation and you're taking video and you're taking photos and you're looking at them photos, man, you see more than what you see. You
So
know,
could it be their imagination running wild?
it. Who knows? The only way that we will be able to find out is if we experience that experience. So, personally, me, whenever somebody says something, okay, I would like to get to know the person a little bit better before I would actually make a judgment on something. And I'm not knocking you, hon. I'm just saying,
Well, you know how on Mulder and Scully, Mulder is Scully's a psychologist and she's always trying to debunk everything. And then you have Project Blue Book on the History Channel. Um what's his name? Hynek, yes. Now Hynek was like a smart guy, and he was trying to debunk things too with the Air Force. I don't know what branch was he? Air Force.
I think, because
His
all the UFOs have to deal with, I believe, the Air
so
Force.
he's like the military guy, and Dr. Hynek is trying to give some rationalization to some of the things he's seen.
Mhm.
I'm trying to, like that's why they have a psychologist go with them to see if these people are either they're just not in the right mind, or they're sick, or they, like I said, are they in the desert and they see these creatures, reptilian type alien creatures. My first thing is, are they dehydrated? Do they need fluids? Are their electrolytes messed up, making them see these things?
And I understand what you're coming from when you say that, but maybe, but the only way we're going to ever find out is if we experienced it ourselves. Um,
I want you to, this is what your homework assignment is for
I
I want
don't,
you to see if you can watch Project Blue Book
okay.
on the history. I think it's probably still on the History Channel or somewhere else, maybe Amazon. You could probably watch them and start at case number 1.
Okay.
These are fascinating. We should do this. We should start. That's what we're going to do. We're going to watch the first one, and then we're going to have a show on it, what we just our findings, and go research it, and discuss it, because all these things are so unusual. And then you have to put a sign, not just the skeptic, not being a skeptic, or just trying to debunk it. Like, are they real?
Kevin says, I have often been skeptical about the claims people make, but we are in the realm of high strangeness,
Yeah.
and I've ended up finding myself thinking twice before dismissing.
No, definitely. I mean, there's so many things that are so strange, and
Did,
that you just don't know. It's like lately, as I find that more and more we're seeing these cases of things that are so crazy, like beyond the scope of normal. It's like, I don't know if we're in some kind of a funk, the way the planets are aligned. There's just so many crazy things in the news. You're trying to figure out what did they say? Is this true? What the hell is going on?
right? No, I totally agree, but I'm going to throw a stinger at you right now. The Mothman.
Yeah,
Um,
but that you yeah. Tell us what you were talking about. You said they found out that it was all made up.
yeah, my boss at work watched it. He sent. I didn't get the chance to see it. I will and talk about it next week. But the Mothman, they came up with a story because West Virginia was doing some dirty deeds. Their government. I don't want to get into it because I might be banned from West Virginia for saying this. But all I know is that, and then they were doing bad things. The government was doing bad things, and they came up with a sidetrack of the Mothman. I mean, I've gone out in the woods and I've seen red lights at me, red eyes, but I don't think it was a Mothman.
It could have been an animal.
But yeah, so I do have that. I am going to watch it and I'll do a little.
Well, you were telling me that they did something with the bridge. The bridge was they didn't follow regulations or
Yeah, they
something.
didn't follow regulations on it. I do believe that it was not sturdy enough. I think they used the wrong
Well,
bolts.
that's like what happened in Western Pennsylvania in Pittsburgh with the bridge that collapsed. That could have been somebody could have seen Bigfoot running, and they could have blamed it on Bigfoot. You know,
Right,
do you remember
exactly.
Mr.
So
Wonderful
it's
Fetterman
something
was
more
there?
that I gotta. My cousin says Blue Book was awesome.
Yes, it
Mm.
was.
I'm gonna
I
have to
think I'm
watch
gonna
that.
go watch it again because I don't know why they canceled it, because that was a good show. I wonder why they do that.
Were they getting too close to the truth? Maybe.
I don't know.
How come I
I don't
can't
know
hear you,
why they
Jen?
can't. What, can you hear me?
Uh, nah, very little. Let me check my microphone.
Up and running.
Yeah.
You can't hear me. 1, 2, 3. Testing
All right,
1, 2,
Brian. It's
3.
good seeing you, buddy. See you next week. See you
Can
next
you
week,
hear
Brian.
me, guys?
Thank you,
Sean?
Brian. Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Okay.
But I don't know. But the thing down there with the Mothman, now that that my boss saw that documentary, I'm going to see for myself and what they have come. All
Yeah.
clear, both of you? Is that bad or what? Oh, all clear. He's saying we're talking really good. He can hear us. Kevin does.
Thank you, Kevin.
But maybe it's my earphones. I've had these for a long time, and I might have to deep six them. I'm not even going to read it. Mm.
I don't know about Mothman.
It's something that I'm going to read. I'm going to watch that, and I'm gonna watch it, and I got my thing all the way up to 100%. I don't know. It must be my computer. I don't know.
I hear something in the background. I don't know what it is. It sounds like
That's my computer's fan.
it's like
My
making
computer
a
fan.
like a
It's like
fan.
calling
Yeah.
it off. Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
yeah, let me look at the Mothman. Let me look at that documentary and see what was going on. I know they had one supposed to talk to one witness. This guy was saying, and that they did not go as a witness because they were threatened to even tell their story about it. Hello.
I'm just reading. Sorry, I was reading about Mothman. George Norrie had a show on in 2007. But I thought, wait a minute, Art Bell. When did Art Bell die? I'm
I
trying to.
don't know.
It's in 2007, an 8-lane steel bridge on 135 West collapsed during an evening rush hour. 13 people were killed, and we know the story, nearly 150 injured, with many people claiming to have seen Mothman. After the collapse, George Norrie received multiple calls on the radio program Coast to Coast AM from people who said they had a Mothman sighting. Wait a minute, I thought the bridge collapsed in wasn't in
No,
2007.
it was earlier, I
So
think.
so what was that about? Why are they saying that?
That's what
Unbelievable.
I just don't understand. Um, what this crap is. I
And
know he.
the
I
the mo go ahead. I was just going to say the most recent one was in 20 October 26, 2020. A mother and daughter witnessed what appeared to be a winged demon creature. According to the witness, it was around 9 p.m. when her mother saw the creature outside her bedroom window, perched on the backyard fence. The daughter ran into the bedroom in response to her mother's screams. The creature was about 25 feet from the mother and daughter, who were watching with the lights turned off in the bedroom. The creature was black. He had facial features like a human, only its overall face was very demonic looking. It had human arms and legs. Its eyes were brilliant glowing red. The wings were jet black and tucked behind its back. The pair watched the humanoid creature for a minute and then spread its wings and flew away. And that was in 2020.
okay now. So your take. No, you heard what you said. What that lady just wrote. What you just told us. Shared with
Mhm.
us. Now, what about the people that saw the lizard-looking dude back over there in Idaho,
That wasn't Idaho, it was Arizona.
Arizona? So what's the difference?
Because that was a reptilian. This was like this is what everybody saw. And
Okay.
I'm not saying that this no, to me it was probably demonic. It was probably was a demon. I don't think it had anything to do with Mothman.
Well, I don't
Cuz if
know.
you saw a demon in your usually why would Mothman be in the bedroom? Now demonic things like in sleep paralysis, they would come to you at sleep time and they look demonic and the
They
shadow
call that
people,
the old. They call that the old
the
hag
old
theory.
hag.
The old hag. And I have had many of those, and I saw the old hag, but that was just a couple times, and then it just went away.
Okay, in two
That's legit. That is
that, that
totally legit.
Okay, I hear you on that one, but in 2009, now this is going back to being sick. The swine flu epidemic was the H1N1. Okay, it started in rural Mexico near Chihuahua and spread throughout the world with more than 14,000 deaths confirmed worldwide. Investigators traced the pandemic's origin to the month of April, and a lot of people saw okay, the month of April, just a month after more than 30 sightings of Mothman were reported. So, were these people sick with fever when they saw Mothman?
Possibility. We don't know. But then again, I'm not. When I watch that show, then I can come to up to a better conclusion. I just can't take it off of one person who did see it.
Hmm.
I have to see it myself in order to understand where he's coming from.
Well, this one sounds compelling. UFO Clearinghouse reports a USPS worker, the sorting mail located at Chicago O'Hare International Airport, came face to face with Mothman. It was around 11 p.m. when the woman was leaving her shift. Now, she could have been tired.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I worked at the post office. Yeah.
Okay, she might have been tired when this happened. Okay, so it was around 11 p.m. when the woman was leaving her shift and walking to the parking lot on September 24th, 2020. She glanced up from her cell phone and noticed a tall man standing about 20 feet from her car. She didn't think anything of it, assuming it was a fellow employee. She hit the key knob to unlock her door and turned on her headlights. The person was now illuminated and turned to look at her. That was the moment the woman panicked, realizing what she was seeing wasn't a person. The creature had brilliant red eyes. It stood about 7 feet tall, and when it turned to look at her, it unfurled its large wings. It made an odd clicking chirping noise before releasing a strange screech. Terrified, the woman screamed and crouched down by the cars as the creature charged towards her. When it was about just a few feet from her, it flew up over her, and she dashed to her car, managed to get behind the wheel, and sped out of the parking lot and headed home. There have been all kinds of stories about people seeing this creature around the airport.
Okay.
Was
There's
it a
not too many
Thunderbird?
airports down in West Virginia. I think the one I know of is in Charlestown, not or Charleston, one or the other. But there are no major. The closest one for West Virginia, I do believe, is Greater
No.
Pittsburgh.
If you were a Mothman, would you be flying near an airport that you can be hit by an airplane? just,
No, no,
I'm
no.
just,
But you got a point there, though. You got a point.
yeah, seriously.
I mean, I'm not knocking people who have seen the Mothman, if that's what they want to call it, but I do want to watch this show and, come up with my own conclusion. And I will bring it up on
Oh, go
the
for it.
show. Yeah.
Oh, now, Mothman, it sort of sounds like Dracula.
Yeah, doesn't it? A big old winged bird. Now,
Yeah,
there,
like a
could it
bat.
not
You know
be,
how
could,
turned into a.
yeah, a bat. But do you think possible that it could have been a thunderbird?
That's what I was just gonna. I was gonna say that. Yeah, it sounds like a thunderbird.
Yeah, and they exist.
Oh
I
yeah,
got a call from my ex girlfriend about 3 weeks ago, and she said she thought she saw one over her house. So
maybe she
I don't
did.
know.
Maybe
So
she did. Well, it seems like they're all large. Mothman's a large black figure.
uh, Camlin says it sounds like the movie Jeepers Creepers. I
Yeah.
never, I never saw
Oh,
that.
that thing was so freaking scary.
I didn't see that the thing on that movie.
Then there's from 2011 to 2018, Mothman was spotted in Chicago and near Lake Michigan multiple times, nearly 70 by numerous witnesses. The witnesses described seeing a humanoid creature with bat like wings and glowing orange red eyes. Sounds like Dracula to me. Winged
Uh,
humanoid jumps off the Chicago Tower in 2017. I don't
it's
know.
just, I mean, it seems like the Mothman is like directed down into West Virginia, but all of a sudden they're seeing them in different
Yeah, because
spots.
these are all. This one was there was one in Mexico in 2022, 6.5 inches tall, had fur instead of wings. Its eyes glowed red. The creature had human and male. It was like a human and an athletic male body.
Huh?
That's kind of creepy. It was
That's
like
creepy.
it's a man with an athletic body.
Okay.
There's just one after the other. 2017, a man was walking his dog in Chicago Park at night. No, Chicago. His dog was reluctant to go probably because he saw Mothman standing there. But he saw a man with pair of wings tucked behind his back.
Could have been the
Now,
devil.
yeah, and it rose above his head, the wings. It was like he called it a bird man. It looked at him with glow redding eyes. It could be a devilish.
Could be the devil.
But, yeah, but
Hey, Doreen, how are you?
is
Yeah,
isn't
Doreen's the one that saw that Thunderbird over her house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, is it a mythology that says that the angels had wings? Does it really? Do they really have wings?
So, some some people think they do. Some people think they don't. It's like a 50-50 situation. It,
I
it
don't,
depends on who you read.
because there's so many on here that says they all had the wings, they all had red eyes, and they're all black
It could be, but
in
then again,
color,
you're
very large and black.
right. So are they? People are probably thinking in their brains, "Oh, black, wings. It's
Well,
probably a fallen angel." I
well,
just
what if we're going? But let's go back to the government and how they do experiments on people and animals, and then we know that they do breed different types of animals to make hybrids, and they've made movies about this series on Netflix about it. What if they got a creature like a monkey, like a species like gorilla monkey, Neanderthal type man, and they bred it with some kind of a bird, like a blue heron or a even I don't know what else. What other big birds are there? Yeah, eagles aren't big. But what if they did that or did some kind of gene splicing and they created
it's
this type of hybrid animal, and that's what they are. They're just they're just hybrids of they're like a new species. Sort of what I think
oh
could be Bigfoot.
possibility.
If they bred I mean, or they didn't have to actually bred them. They could have just DNA,
I know
made
somebody that
clones.
yeah, I know somebody that does that.
You know,
Doreen says when the flight went down at Shanksville, the first responders said the whole area was guarded by angels with wings. I did not know that, Doreen. Thank
how
you
do
for
you know
telling me.
that, Doreen? Like, I mean, did they have pictures taking of these? I would like to see if there was any kind of pictures with angels. You know how people said in 9/11 they saw in some of the pictures there were angels above these people that were falling.
Hmm.
I wonder if there's any kind of pictures of when the bridge went down.
I'm sure they're out there, but who knows? But I like getting back to the government too because I know somebody that in order to graduate from school, they had to make a